welcome to another episode of BS. How you guys doing today? I hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you guys had a great 4th of July. Man, I know it's been a while. I got notes. I'm 100% prepared. I am ready. I'm pumped. This episode took me a while to make, and I'm sure this episode is going to be the longest that we've ever had on this channel. So, man, I'm excited. All right. Let's get into our first topic of today. All right. So the other week, I was playing with a couple of friends of mine in my neighborhood, and we were playing football. Just us. There was like 6 of us, and one out of all six of us, there was one female that was playing with us, and she's a really good friend of mine. She's been a friend of mine for quite a while now. She was really good. She was the best out of all of us. She played really, really good with us. I didn't know she was this good at football. I did not. She never wanted to play, and we asked her one time, and she said yes, and she was better than all of us. And one of my friends, who's a guy, he got upset at one point when she kept on outperforming him, and it kind of bothered me that he was like discussing this with me. Like he was like, "Ugh, I can't believe that she's so good. She broke my ankles at one point, and she was better than me." Let me tell you, she was better than me. She was playing receiver mainly. She jumped the ball. She caught the ball right over my head. It was insane. She's about the same age as me, and she was really, really good. And I don't understand. What's the problem with females being better than males? First off, and what's the problem with females being in the NFL? I personally am all for this, and that's why I want to talk about this topic, because it kind of bothered me personally. That my friend who was a guy had a problem with this. So I dug up some research, and apparently a lot of people have a problem with females playing in male-dominated sports. Mainly talk about, I think females should be able to play in the NFL. Now, my experience from when my friend the other week, my story about my friend the other week, that's the main reason why I want to talk about this topic. And I believe females should play in the NFL. If my motto is whatever it takes to win, even if it means having a female, so be it. If the female is better than the male player, like for example, say if a female receiver is better than Nelson Agholor, then replace Nelson Agholor. Like seriously, Nelson Agholor is a drop machine. You throw the ball his way, he's going to drop the ball. So honestly, that's my motto, whatever it takes to win. And I'm not even just talking about the NBA, the NFL. I could be talking about the NBA, hockey, whatever. I mean, if the female is better than the male player, then the female player should be able to start in that position. And I'm not just talking about kickers, because the main position everyone wants to put a female player into is a kicking position. I'm not just talking about that. Every position a female should be able to play, should have the opportunity to be able to play. And when I was looking up the reasons why females shouldn't be able to play, I saw some sorry excuses. A couple excuses are they don't fit well at the locker room, they're not as strong, they're built differently, they're more injury prone, and they're like, none of this is true at all. I know quite a few females who are stronger than me personally, and it's not just about injury. I mean, there's guys who get injured like all the time. I just don't see how that's a good reasonable answer. And the strong part, that's just not true at all. Females can be stronger than males. I've seen it everywhere. And the locker room problem part. Shannon Sharpe said it best. Back in, I think it was like the late 90s, when I believe he was on the Broncos, he had a couple issues, a couple different beliefs with some of the players on the team. There were some players that he had to play with who were racists. I'm not saying this was a different time. I'm not saying if you see racism, call it out. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying what Shannon Sharpe said personally. Even though he didn't get along with some of the players in this locker room because they had different beliefs and different opinions, whatever it took to win, they all rallied together in the end, and and it was it was a motto of whatever it takes to win. So if the female player, and going to this conversation, if the female player is better than the NFL player, then she should be starting. I'm not just talking about kicking, anything. And the most recent example I can remember of a female player not playing a kicking position, other than the kicking position, is the quarterback Alexandra Butchinman. And if you don't know her story, I'm going to be posting the video in the description below. It's a really incredible story. She's a high school quarterback down in Hawaii, and she was really good. I liked her story. I liked her arm was better than mine. I mean, by far. I even know a couple females who could throw better than me. I can throw about like 40, 50 yards, I think, and I have a female friend who could throw about 60 yards, which, I mean, I told her she should try out for a football team, but people looked at her funny when she even brought up the idea, it was just such a shame, So, I mean, this girl was really good. She was so good she got the attention of Drew Brees. Like, that's incredible. You must be really good. You know what I mean? Yeah, so maybe one day she'll make it to the NFL. You never know. Maybe in a couple years we'll be seeing her starting for the New Orleans Saints. Heck, you never know. You know what I mean? So what I'm getting to, my point is, females should be able to play in any male-dominated sports league. And also, with females not being able to play in football, there's an all-female football league. There is an all-female football league that you can watch on TV. And the excuse that females are just not strong enough, they have their own sports league. If that doesn't say strong, I don't know what does. And so that's my main point. What I'm mainly getting to is I feel like females should be able to play in any male-dominated sports league, not just including NFL. I would love to see females in the NFL. I think that would be great. That would be amazing. That would be absolutely fantastic. But if they want to spread further than the NFL, like the NBA, MLB, whatever, I'm all for it. So that's what I'm mainly getting to. And yeah, moving on to our next topic. All right, moving on to our next topic. I know I discussed this topic a ton. Oh my gosh, it's really thundering out there. I hope it doesn't cut out my power and I have to restart this whole thing. Hope not. But I've discussed. Sorry, I got off topic. Back to the main topic. I've discussed this topic a lot. I've discussed this topic, I think, almost every episode for the past couple weeks now, ever since Cam Newton got signed to the Patriots. But there is a starting quarterback problem right now going on in New England. And the main competition is between three quarterbacks. And the third quarterback, you're probably not even going to know who he is unless you watch some of my previous videos. The quarterback battle is between Jarrett Stidham versus Cam Newton versus Brian Lewerke. Probably asking yourselves, who's Brian Lewerke? Unless you're a big Michigan State fan, he recently just came out of college from Michigan State. He was starting quarterback there for about 5, I think. No, he was a starting quarterback there for 3 years. And yeah, if you don't know who he is, I'll be discussing him later on. But out of all three of these guys, who do I think should be starting going into the 2020 NFL season? It's Jarrett Stidham. I mean, I've discussed this multiple times, and now now that Brian Lewerke is in the conversation, because I didn't see it in the depth chart. I'm wondering if Bill Belichick read my mind, because he picked up a bunch of undrafted free agents who should have been drafted, honestly. And I had some of them. I have 2 of them in my video. In my video about who are the most underrated players coming out of the draft. And Bill Belichick picked up J.J. Taylor, running back, and Brian Lewerke. And I was like, hell yeah, man! Did you watch my video? I mean, Bill Belichick, if you watch my content, what's up? But they're those 2 guys that I just mentioned are starting caliber players one day in the NFL. Brian Lewerke is a raw talent who can honestly turn into something elite. He honestly can, because all the problems is all in his head. He has everything down. Maybe his arm is a little weaker than I would like it to be personally. But Brian Lewerke, he's a raw talent that can one day start in the NFL. But out of all three of these guys, I believe Jarrett Stidham should start out of all three. And let's talk about Jarrett Stidham real quick. Jarrett Stidham went to Auburn. He went to Auburn, and he wasn't good in his last senior year. His final year in Auburn wasn't that good. And everyone wants to point out to his college seasons. First off, we want to talk about college. College quarterbacks aren't always great coming out of college. I mean, there's something called development and teaching and learning the system, becoming better over time. There's something called progression. Like, why is everyone comparing Jarrett Stidham to his time at Auburn? And let's really dig into detail why he was bad in Auburn. So he wasn't that great in his final year. He lost Will Hastings, who was a great receiver. And by the way, if Bill Belichick isn't all in on Jarrett Stidham, he picked up his best receiver at Auburn, Will Hastings. I mean, if that doesn't say all in on Jarrett Stidham, I don't know what does. He's an undrafted free agent. He's a wide receiver, and I think he's a replacement of Julian Edelman. He's a great slot receiver, third best underrated receiver coming out of the 2019 NFL draft. To be honest with you, I was shocked when Bill Belichick picked him up. He's from Auburn too, and Will Hastings wasn't there in 2018. It's Jarrett Stidham's final year. He tore his ACL before the season could even start, and Jarrett Stidham didn't have his number one guy. He had a horrible offensive line, horrible coaching, and he managed to throw 18 touchdowns and 5 picks. That's incredible. And he's mobile too. His offensive line sucks. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you guys heard that thunder. His offensive line sucked. It wasn't him that wasn't good. It was the team around him. I think he pulled off some really clutch performances. Like, seriously. And I just don't understand why. I just don't understand why anyone would want to take away Jarrett Stidham's job coming into next year. And if you want to point out to his college stats, that's fine. But if you really look into it, his offensive line sucked, his receiving core sucked, and his head coach sucked. And he managed to throw 18 touchdowns and 5 picks. He was facing pressure all the damn time. And he managed to throw the ball in really tight throws. You know what I mean? Like, yes, he did throw it to some receivers that were wide open. He didn't have those NFL caliber throws. But how could he have the time with one of the worst offensive lines in college football at that time? So if you really want to look into the college stats, that's fine. But he did have some issues. He did have some deep ball issues, and he couldn't get the ball out at the sling it out. He couldn't pull the trigger at the right moments too. Sometimes it was a little late. But that's all stuff that you can fix throughout coaching. You really could. And Auburn's team sucked when he was there, his final year. And he managed to have not great season, it was okay. But if Jarrett Stidham went to LSU, he would probably be better than Joe Burrow. That's how great Jarrett Stidham is. And if you really want to compare college stats, look at Tom Brady's college stats. Did that look like Hall of Fame material? For crying out loud. So yeah, Tom Brady's team was just okay when he was there. It wasn't great or anything. And his first 2 starts, he threw a ton of interceptions. His first interceptions in his second season. But his final season, Tom Brady's stats were 16 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. And once again, stats aren't everything. Everyone wants to look to the stats. His team was just okay. He had a better team all around than Jarrett Stidham, and he managed to throw 16 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Tom Brady was really ugly in college. He was one of the slowest quarterbacks, and Bill Belichick believed in him. Jarrett Stidham had a worse team and managed to throw 18 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. That's insane. And he didn't even have his number one receiver. He had poor coaching staff, poor receiving core, and poor offensive line, faced with pressure all the time, and managed to be so incredible. Honestly, I'm impressed. I really am. To be quite honest, Tom Brady and Jarrett Stidham, they both had the same issues in college. They both didn't have great teams around them. Even though Tom Brady had better, it was still not that great. Jarrett Stidham, he had awful coaching, and that's why he needed to leave college. I'm glad he did. He left college to go to the NFL to actually get great coaching. He needed to leave. I think it was his yeah. So yeah, he needed to leave anyway. Awful coaching staff, and he had a year to sit behind Tom Brady, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Not the greatest, by the way. One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He got to sit behind Tom Brady, learn the system, even though Josh McDaniels confirmed that the offense will be changing either way. It's still going to have the same DNA it's always had. But it's just going to be changing up a little bit. And Jarrett Stidham, quite honestly, he's like a better version of Tom Brady. He's more mobile, he has a better arm, and he's better with pressure going into his face. I think the only main thing that he's not great with is reading the defense as quickly as he should be. It's not NFL elite reading the defense. And that's okay. I mean, that takes time. You think Tom Brady was reading the defenses like that all the damn time? He was not. It took time. It took time to get to that point where he threw 50 touchdowns. It took time to win those Super Bowls. Even though he won in his first year starting, but he wasn't that great either. His first 2 years in the NFL, Tom Brady was not that great. And I feel like at this point right now, Jarrett Stidham is better than Tom Brady ever was at this point into his career. And even though he hasn't played yet, I mean, I think he looked pretty good in the preseason. It was pretty good, and I think they should go all out on Jarrett Stidham. Also, people want to compare. I know I should be talking about more about Cam Newton and Jarrett Stidham. So, Cam Newton, why I don't think he should be the starter. He hasn't played. People are saying like the reason why he wasn't that great is because of his foot injury, because of his shoulder injury. I mean, that is true. That is true. He's not a great thrower. He's never been a great thrower. He's half as fast as he used to be. He's not even close to being as fast as he used to be. And quite honestly, he hasn't played every single game since 2017. Even at 100%, even when he was at his 100% healthiest, when he was the 100% healthiest, he had a ton of turnovers. Cam Newton threw 16 interceptions and fumbled a bunch. And that was during 2017 season when they went 11-5. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't that great of a thrower, and he turned over the ball a ton in 2017. Look at it. I mean, once again, stats isn't everything. But his offensive line did held up. It held up. He had Greg Olsen. There was no excuse for 16 interceptions. He fumbled a ton, too. And I think and people are saying he could make plays with his legs. There's two problems with that. One, he's probably going to get injured if someone lays a finger on him. And number two, he's half as fast as he used to be. He's not even close to being as fast as he used to be. It's just facts. He's still pretty fast. He's faster than Jarrett Stidham. Maybe they can use him like a Taysom Hill type of role. And I'll be okay with that, even though he's going to get injured trying to be like Taysom Hill. And I'm honestly okay with that if they want to use Cam Newton in that kind of role. But whatever is going on, I believe in Bill Belichick, though. I think he has a plan. I just hope his plan isn't going to start Cam Newton, because that would take a big step back into his critical thinking situations. I mean, honestly, I think the writing is on the wall for all in on Jarrett Stidham. And even if they don't believe in Jarrett Stidham and they decide to start Cam Newton and go 4-12, that's fine. They still got a great guy with Brian Lewerke. If you look at my video of the underrated players coming out of the NFL draft, he was number one. Honestly, Brian Lewerke can one day become an NFL starting quarterback. I was hoping he was going to go to Pittsburgh, possibly sit behind Ben Roethlisberger, but he went to New England. Maybe if they don't believe in Jarrett Stidham, have Cam Newton waste a whole year for the Patriots and then eventually let Brian Lewerke start. Because Brian Lewerke is, honestly, I think he's pretty good. I think he's a raw talent at this moment, but eventually I feel like he can be an elite NFL starting quarterback. And yeah, so if it comes down to Jarrett Stidham versus Cam Newton versus Brian Lewerke, I'm going to pick Jarrett Stidham. I mean, the writing's all over the wall. They even picked up a player that Jarrett Stidham used to play with Will Hastings. And the receivers are going to get better this year. N'Keal Harry's going to take a big step forward, which is probably going to help Jarrett Stidham a lot. Jacoby Myers, I'm not really sure about him yet. I hear a lot of good things. He was okay, but Tom Brady didn't throw him enough his way to give him those reps to practice getting the ball a lot as a rookie. So that was a little bit of a problem with Tom Brady's end, and he should have thrown the ball more to him. And if N'Keal Harry really takes a step forward, Julian Edelman won't always be double covered all the time. And they also picked up another undrafted free agent who I really liked. He came out of Miami. Jeff Thomas, who I think is honestly he's going to be another Josh Gordon. He's probably going to be out all the time because of off the field issues, but he has an elite talent. So Jeff Thomas is also another guy I really like. Will Hastings, another guy I really like too. So Patriots got a really good receiving core going into next year. They also got the tight ends that they drafted are also pretty good too. So all those guys are going to help Jarrett Stidham. And yeah, so don't be comparing him to his college stats anymore, because he was actually kind of great in college. If you look at it on paper, like what he had, what he was missing, comparing him to Tom Brady in college, he was better than Tom Brady coming out of college, and he has more gifts than Tom Brady ever did. And I feel like the offense is basically still has the Tom Brady DNA, and Jarrett Stidham will fit into that system perfectly. He's more mobile, he's a stronger arm, and he's better with pressure in his face. Tom Brady's weakness was always pressure in his face. So honestly, I think they should really build around Jarrett Stidham. He's young, he's only 24. Give this guy give this guy a chance. You know what I'm saying? I'm all in on Jarrett Stidham. And I'm sure one day if he does end up being the starter, he's going to be overrated like Tom Brady is now, because that's what they like to do, even though it's Bill Belichick's mastermind plan. But Jarrett Stidham will fit into that offense perfectly. Cam Newton would probably get injured all the time. He's not as fast as he used to be. He's a shell of his former self. And Brian Lewerke is a raw talent who could one day be a starter, but at this moment, Jarrett Stidham is the best out of all of them. That's my justification for why Jarrett Stidham should start over all two of those guys. So yeah, moving on to our third topic. This one's probably gonna be a nice, quick, and easy, short one. Is Jacob Eason the answer for the Colts? If you don't remember, the Colts drafted Jacob Eason in the 4th round. Right now, their quarterback depth chart is Philip Rivers, Jacoby Brissett, and Jacob Eason. Is Jacob Eason the answer for Indianapolis? Honestly, it all depends on him. He has the talent. He has the third strongest arm in the NFL. He has the third strongest arm in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. So it all depends on him. He had multiple times to succeed in college this past season, and it was just all on him. He didn't put the work in to read the defense. He was kind of lazy on a lot of things, and he looks like he likes football. Maybe he'll take that step forward in the NFL, but honestly, it all depends on him. It depends on him if he succeeds or not, because all the mistakes he's making is all either mental mistakes or lazy mistakes. He needs to take the time and learn the system and not rely on his arm so much, because that was another problem they had in college. He relied on his arm for everything, and his arm isn't Brett Favre's arm where he can do that all the time. He had some accuracy issues too, and he just never read the defense. If he learns to pick up on all these bad habits, all these lazy habits and stuff, then maybe he can be the future for the Colts. Maybe he could be the next Peyton Manning. But for right now, he's not ready. He needs at least 2 years to learn the system. I don't know if he's not. He also wasn't a great leader. He was an okay leader. He wasn't amazing back in college. He just relied on his arm too much. He needs to rely more on the system. Hopefully, he learns the system. They have a great offensive line, one of the most elite offensive lines the Indianapolis Colts have. I'm not sure if Jacoby Brissett is the answer. I'm not 100% sure. I know Phil Rivers is going to be the worst quarterback in the 2020 NFL season. Right now, he's the worst starting quarterback. Philip Rivers is not the answer for Indianapolis. He should not start this year either way. So if he works on not relying on his arm so much and works on reading the defense, works on learning the system, learning the players, getting used to everyone, then maybe he is the answer for Indianapolis. But right now, at this moment, I do not have a good feeling about 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 Jacob Eason. He needs to really step up. He needs to be that leader. He needs to rally the team together. And also, if he starts right now, he's not gonna have the best receiving core. Like T.Y. Hilton is a shell of his former self, and the other guys are just meh. They're just okay. So I say don't start Jacob Eason this year, no matter how bad Philip Rivers is. Keep putting Jacoby Brissett if you really need to. If you really need to keep Jacoby Brissett for a couple years, have him be the bridge quarterback to Jacob Eason. Even if Jacob Eason is the answer, because right now he's bad. He does have the potential to one day be a starting quarterback, but at this moment, I say no. He needs to learn the system a lot. So, my overall opinion on this topic is, it depends on him. It depends on him. I honestly think there are better options. Even like some of the guys right now, Trace McSorley, Tyree Jackson. If you really want a strong arm guy, go for Tyree Jackson. Even he is better than Jacob Eason at this point. But or trade for Brian Lewerke. Do that. But Jacob Eason could be the heir to Andrew Luck one day. But for right now, I just don't see it. All right. Moving on to the news. All right. We got a ton of topics for the news for today. Our first news topic of the day. No one has really been talking about this. I'm really surprised. I really am surprised. Kurt Warner will get a movie about himself. I'm so happy. I'm so glad he's getting a movie. I mean, his story is incredible. Kurt Warner is one of my all-time favorite players. I would say he's my 10th all-time favorite player. He's not the best. He's just my personal favorite. Maybe I'll one day do a list of my personal favorite players. But I just love his story, man. His story is so incredible. But Zachary Levi will be playing him. I believe this movie will be coming out in 2022. And if you don't know Kurt Warner's story, he's an undrafted free agent. He became, after the multiple starting quarterbacks got injured in L.A., or I forgot what, St. Louis. I believe they were the St. Louis Rams before they were the L.A. Rams. In 1999, he was working at a supermarket, got called up, and the Rams asked him to start for their team, and he said yes. And the rest was history. He won the Super Bowl in '99, won a couple MVPs. I believe he won an MVP that same year too. And he was 28 years old. And it's a shame that he didn't get his career started until a little earlier in his life. But hey, I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame now. Maybe he would have been one of the best quarterbacks of all time if he had started before the age of 28. Because by the time I believe his last season was when he was 38 years old. He was hella old, but he did have a nice long career. He had a longer career than a lot of quarterbacks do typically, and he was really impressive. His story is incredible. I don't want to spoil his story because if you don't know his story, watch the movie once it comes out. And I'm so happy for him. I really am. His story is so incredible, and it's just one of those wow, what a lucky scenario I was put in. You know what I mean? You could say the same thing about Tom Brady too, but he was actually drafted. Kurt Warner was never drafted. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe he was the first undrafted quarterback to win a Super Bowl, and that's incredible. He's not the first undrafted quarterback to make it to the Hall of Fame. I believe that goes to Warren Moon, but don't quote me on that either. I'm just really happy for the guy. I honestly am. I'm happy for Kurt Warner. I'm glad he's getting a movie. I'm gonna be there on opening day. Zachary Levi, I believe, is a perfect choice. He really looks like Kurt Warner too. That's probably why they hired him. But yeah, and I really liked Kurt Warner when he was with the Cardinals. I feel like that's when he really edged his name into the Hall of Fame, when he was with the Cardinals in his last stint, his last time in his career. I was hoping he was going to win the Super Bowl in 08 versus the Steelers, but he didn't. It's a shame, but I mean, this is such an incredible story. I'm surprised more people aren't talking about this. I'm like really excited to watch this movie. Every little detail about his life. I mean, like what happened, like specifics. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I have nothing else to say. I mean, I'm just excited. I'm surprised more people haven't been talking about this. It's an honor to get a movie about yourself. Another really great football movie I like. It's about a Philadelphia Eagle, Vincent Papale. He was actually not even in college. He was just a guy that they picked up, and he ended up starting in the NFL. He wasn't like a main position or anything, but he played on special teams. But he's another incredible story, and I just love stories like that. I like watching those stories about certain players in the NFL. So, Kurt Warner, congratulations. You're getting a movie about yourself, and I'm really excited to watch it once it comes out. I believe it comes out in 2022, and Zachary Levi will be playing Kurt Warner. Alrighty, moving on. Could AB go to Tampa Bay? Could AB be joining the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right with his old quarterback they played with one game, Tom Brady? Could he join him? He could. Anything's possible. But, no. No. If you don't know, Bruce Arians worked with AB before he was even a popular player. Before he had his breakout season, he knew Antonio Brown, and he wasn't impressed with him. He wasn't impressed with his attitude. And Bruce Arians doesn't deal with BS players, no pun intended. But he doesn't deal with BS players. He doesn't deal with all that drama. If he ended up cutting Gerald McCoy, who had a little bit of a big mouth, then he's probably not going to pick up AB, who is in a ton of trouble right now. And he's just a loose cannon who is so hard to control right now. Like he has warrants. He had a warrant out for his arrest at one point. He did some really he was accused from really messed up things. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because there's an NFL source who's very close to Tom Brady. And he's been right about a couple things before. I believe he was talking about Tom Brady going to Tampa Bay. That was his main interest. This NFL source is reliable most of the time. And he's close with Tom Brady. And he says Tom Brady is trying to get AB into Tampa Bay. Like ever since Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay, it seems like he has a little bit more of a voice than he did in New England. Because Bill Belichick is like this, and that. Even though you won 6 Super Bowls, you're going to be treated like a guy who's a rookie. Well, not exactly like that, but like the same respect, you know? Like Tom Brady doesn't have like a king status when he was in New England. He was kind of like a little higher than that. He's kind of like the chief, you know? He wasn't the commissioner or anything. He was the chief, you know? Captain of police. I don't know why I made that as an example, but what I'm trying to say is Tom Brady has more control now, and Tom Brady has a lot to say how things go in Tampa Bay, which players he wants to play with, which players he wants to communicate with, which players should probably be let go. And he's not controlling the offense. He's just having a lot of input on what he thinks, the way he thinks should go to win another Super Bowl, because Tom Brady wants to get number 7. And I don't blame him. Anyone wants 7 Super Bowls. We're not sure if he's going to win that. But right now, Tom Brady's receiving core is one of the best he's ever had. Not the best. I think the 2007 receiving core is better than this receiving core right now. That's just my personal opinion. Like, and the system was better too, because Bill Belichick has the best offensive system in the NFL currently. Maybe that will change one day, but for right now, Bill Belichick's system is the best. And who knows how the system's going to be next year, but the main point I'm getting at is, can Tom Brady convince Bruce Arians to pick up AB? No. Bruce Arians isn't gonna tolerate Antonio Brown. And no one, I don't see anyone tolerating that madman. I don't know. I think he has CTE, to be honest with you. I've been saying that for quite a while now. It's just he has all the signs. And it's a shame, maybe because ever since the 2017 season when he got really big hit to the head, got really big blow to the head, he hasn't been the same personally and mentally. He still played the same, but say if he did. Say if he did. According to AB, he thinks he's gonna go there. But say if he did go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, well then they would be the best receiving core in the NFL, no doubt about it. Maybe they could get him for a cheap deal. Maybe Tom Brady really has that much say in Tampa Bay. Maybe Tom Brady can say Tom Brady does end up convincing Bruce Arians or whoever, maybe convinces the owner or something. He ends up convincing to get AB into Tampa Bay, because I'm sure right now he's trying to convince Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians isn't having any of that. Maybe he'll pull Bill Belichick where he'll talk to the owner instead of talking to the NFL coach. And I lost a ton of respect when Tom Brady did that, by the way. But he's done it before. Why not do it again? So let's just say he did that. Maybe he got AB onto the team. Then they would be the best receiving core in the NFL. Maybe Mike Evans could play slot receiver. Then you got Chris Godwin going deep, and you got AB being your number one guy. They would definitely be the best receiving core in the NFL. AB is the best receiver in the NFL, even though he's having a ton of issues right now. He should make it to the Hall of Fame, but due to how the Hall of Fame is kind of a joke right now, and based on your personality, you cannot make it to the Hall of Fame. Like Terrell Owens, how could you not put Terrell Owens into the Hall of Fame? That's just disrespectful. I know he's one of the worst attitude problems in the NFL, or at the time. He had one of the worst attitudes about everything, but he is the second best receiver of all time. He's right behind Jerry Rice. He's really that good, and it's stupid that you don't put him in the first ballot. And I hate the first ballot thing. I think it should just be you make it or you don't. There's no, you're better than me because I'm in the first ballot Hall of Fame. Because to be honest, there's a lot of players that deserve to be in the first ballot in the Hall of Fame. Like the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. How does he not make it before Jerry Jones makes it? That's incredibly disrespectful, if you know what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to get at is Antonio Brown is the best right now, is the best wide receiver in the NFL. If he comes in, then Tom Brady, I'm sure, would throw a lot more touchdowns and interceptions. Even Jameis Winston would have a 50-touchdown season if AB came in last year. You know what I mean? Like, if he came in this year and Jameis Winston was still on the roster. So, keep in mind, Tom Brady is not the king of Tampa Bay. He has a lot to say, but he is not in charge. Bruce Arians is in charge, and Bruce Arians would put his foot down and is like, no, I am not getting AB on my roster. No one wants AB on the roster, and if they do, I pray that they have a good experience with him because he's a whole lot of messed up. He needs a lot of mental help right now. He just needs help. AB just needs help. He needs to take a break from football, retire. At this point, he would make it to the Hall of Fame, and just call it a career, man. And honestly, every single team going into any team I see AB going to, I see him going to either the Ravens because his nephew is on the Ravens, or I see him going to the Seahawks because Russell Wilson seems like he really wants a guy like that. And Russell Wilson does deserve an elite receiver. Like Tyler Lockett is really good, but he's not elite. You know what I mean? So I would like to see Russell Wilson with an elite receiver. Russell Wilson has MVP seasons with a bad offensive line and okay receivers to really good receivers, and he has MVP numbers. So just imagine Russell Wilson with a guy like Antonio Brown or Julio Jones, because he's never had a number one guy like that. Maybe DK Metcalf can turn into a guy like Antonio Brown, but for right now, DK Metcalf is second string receiver behind Tyler Lockett. That's a topic for another time, but no, I do not see AB going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sorry, Buccaneers fans. That would be awesome, but Tom Brady is not in charge. Bruce Arians is, and if you release Gerald McCoy for having a little bit of a mouth, I can't see Antonio Brown making it onto the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster. All right. I would be kind of interesting though. But yeah. Moving on to news number 3. Our finals news topic of the day. Chris Jones, defensive tackle of the Kansas City Chiefs. He wants to get $20 million or else he's going to hold out for the whole season. I mean, he feels personally that if he doesn't get a lot of money, then if he doesn't get a lot of money, then he feels disrespected by the team. It's kind of like sounding like he's having bad blood with the team right now because he's not going to get his money. He's not going to get a lot of money. What he needs to understand is if he wants to win another Super Bowl, sign with the team on like $15 million. Like, he got franchise tagged and he feels a little disrespected by that, which is understandable. But when you got a guy like Patrick Mahomes and you're going to pay him like $40 to $50 million, let's worry about the quarterback first and then we'll worry about you. All right? It's just the quarterback is more important than the defensive tackle. It seems like to Andy Reid, the defense isn't as important as the offense. And it's not personal, Chris Jones, because it seems he's really upset. He's really bummed out that he hasn't got his pay. If he was Aaron Donald, that's something different, but he's not Aaron Donald. He only had 9 sacks last season, and he was injured last season. He has had some injury problems in the past, but listen, go on the franchise tag, prove yourself to be non-injured the whole entire season, have another 15-sack season, and then get your money. Wait till next year, all right? This is just not the year for right now. Wait till next year. Because in 2019, Chris Jones only had 9 sacks in 11 games, and that is really good. But just prove yourself not to be injured next year. Be healthy for the whole season, or even not. Just like be healthy for like 13 games at least. And I understand that you've been with the team for a long time. You've proven yourself every year. Just Patrick Mahomes needs to be paid, and then we'll worry about you. All right? They'll worry about you. They'll worry about you once Patrick Mahomes gets paid a ton of money, because I'm sure he's going to be paid. He's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL going into next year. But for right now, just wait. Go on the franchise tag. Play on the franchise tag. It's no disrespect to you. And just have a good time. You're going to probably make it to the Super Bowl. Like, maybe there's a possibility you can make it to the Super Bowl next year. Like, seriously. The offense is going to be dangerous next year, as long as everyone stays healthy. But if you really need to get paid a lot of money, then just wait till next year. Like, you got to realize the quarterback is the most important position in the NFL. That's the way the NFL is moving. It's moving to the most important position is the quarterback. We need to pay the quarterback first, and then we'll pay everyone else second. Unless you're Mitchell Trubisky, then just release the guy already. Oh, man. All right, I'm not getting into another Mitchell Trubisky rant. I've done that way too many times on this podcast. Yeah, I'll save that for, like, another time. I'll just rant about Mitchell Trubisky for a whole half hour. But what I'm getting to is, don't take offense to it, Chris Jones. Please don't hold out, because it never ends up well with guys holding out these days. And, yeah, I'm sorry that you feel upset about this. And just prove yourself next year. And I'm sure you're going to get paid $20 million. For right now, you're not going to get paid $20 million. It's just the way things are right now with paying Patrick Mahomes and dealing with a bunch of other players that they need to pay to on offense. Because, yeah. But all in all, please don't hold out and just play on the franchise tag. All right. We're moving on to the segment that we have on Wednesdays, even though it's past Wednesday. But I've been working on this for a long time now, and I think what I'm going to do now is I'm not going to have specific scheduled days on when I'm going to have a specific segment. It's going to go in episode order now. So next episode I'll do what ifs. Then the next episode after that I'll do Hall of Fame or Hall of Shame. Then ranking. It's just going to go in order by episode, not in order by Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, because my schedule right now with everything I got going on right now. I'm working on like 3 movies. I'm working on a video game, and I want to make time for this because I have a lot of fun doing this, and I have a lot of fun. I'm glad that 90 people watch my videos per episode. My latest podcast episode reached 97 views. I'm almost at 100. So whoever sees this, watch that video, please. I want to make it to 100 views. But yeah, I'm so grateful for what I got going on right now. This is great. I'm glad I get some comments. I got a couple people that watch my videos on a daily basis, and yeah, I'm glad. But if you want to know what my regular schedule is for now on, it's Monday. Not Mondays. Every other episode. Every episode's going to change segments for now on. So yeah. But today's episode, we're going to be doing breaking ranking. Yeah, we're going to be ranking all 32 NFL quarterbacks. That's what took me so long to make this episode. I had to really think about which player should go where. This is what mainly took so long to make this episode. Like, I got a ton of notes here about everybody and everyone. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this segment. This segment took me such a long time to make. All right, let's get into a breaking ranking. All right, in this episode of Breaking Ranking, we will be ranking every single quarterback based on how I think they are going to play in this upcoming NFL 2020 season. I'm only considering on how I think they will be playing in this upcoming NFL 2020 season, not on how I think they are personally. Like, are they the best personally? It's only the starting quarterback. Also, there are a lot of quarterback competitions coming into this season, so I'm going to be picking the QB who I think that will be winning the quarterback competition, and I will be putting them onto this list. For example, Nick Foles versus Mitchell Trubisky. I'm going to think Nick Foles will be winning the starting job. Another one, a 3-way quarterback battle between Kyle Allen, Alex Smith, and Dwayne Haskins. I believe Kyle Allen will win the quarterback competition. I believe he will win, so I'm going to have him on this list. All right. With number 32. All right. Coming at number 32, we got Philip Rivers. Coming in at number 32. Now, out of all the guys, he has the best offensive line, top 10, but his receiving core the Colts receiving core, Philip Rivers receiving core is really mediocre. T.Y. Hilton, he's a shell of his former self. You got the rookie receiver, Michael Pittman Jr. I wasn't never a really big fan of him coming out of college. I mean, who knows how he's really going to be. And it seems like they want to put Paris Campbell, who had a ton of drops, a really big drop problem, and I'm not sure, maybe he'll get better, but Paris Campbell into a slot receiver type of role. And you got backups with Marcus Johnson, Zach Pascal, DeMichael Harris. But, I mean, Philip Rivers, he's going to have a good offensive line once in his career. But all the quarterbacks that are starting in this year, I believe Philip Rivers will be playing the least likely. Playing the least. I mean, he's won't be playing the greatest out of all 32 quarterbacks I'm about to mention. Main reason is he's in extreme decline. He's going to be the Eli Manning for like the next couple of years if he ends up starting for NFL teams. Everyone's going to be talking about how much he sucks, how much he throws picks, how much he's not clutch, how much he's not high motor, how much he has nothing as he used to have. Another big problem is his arm. His arm is so weak, it's pathetic. His arm is it's weaker than Drew Brees, and can we all agree that Drew Brees' arm is really weak right now? I don't think he really made enough NFL throws last season. I just don't think he's going to be playing that great this season. So yeah, that's why I believe coming at number 32, Philip Rivers will be the worst quarterback going into next season. He's probably going to throw a ton of picks. He's just not going to be as great as he usually is. He's not going to have a guy like Keenan Allen anymore either. That's for sure. So coming at number 32, the worst quarterback will be Philip Rivers. All right, coming at number 31, we have Joe Burrow. Okay, if no one knows who Joe Burrow is, he recently just got drafted to the Cincinnati Bengals, first pick, first overall. And the reason why I think he's going to be 31st up, because we haven't seen his talent yet. I'm not one of those guys. I'm saying basically who I think is going to be the best and who I think is going to be worse. No, I don't think he's going to be. The reason why I don't think he's going to be any higher than this is because he has the worst passing offensive line in the NFL. His receiving core is actually pretty decent. He got Tyler Boyd. They drafted T. Higgins. They still got A.J. Green on the roster too. So he's going to be decent. Also, I kind of like Alden Tate too. He was all right last year. He was kind of a standout guy for a pathetic John Ross. But yeah, his receiving core won't be the problem. It's going to be his offensive line. And he's also going with the worst NFL head coach going into next year. I don't believe in the Bengals head coach. I don't believe in the Bengals head coach. I don't believe in what he's doing. I just don't like his system. I don't know what his plan is. Also, they got one of the worst owners in the NFL right now. He's like Dan Snyder. He likes to, if you don't know who Dan Snyder is, he's the Redskins general manager / owner. He likes to meddle into everything. You know what I mean? You could say it's kind of the same thing about Jerry Jones as well. But Bengals, when Joe Burrow got drafted, sorry Bengals fans, he's just gonna waste his career away like Carson Palmer. Right now, Carson Palmer, if he went with any other team besides the Browns, but if he went to any other team besides the Browns, he would probably be in the Hall of Fame right about now. And it's a shame. You could say that about a couple other players too, but Carson Palmer really, really wasted his career in Cincinnati. It's such a shame, man. It really is. I loved his time with Arizona. He did great with Bruce Arians. And, man, it's such a shame. Carson Palmer wasted his whole career there. And maybe if Joe Burrow, here's what could happen. If Joe Burrow ends up not getting injured from the times he's going to be sacked, he's going to be sacked a lot. It's the worst passing offensive line. The worst pass blockers in the whole NFL right now. But if he ends up not managing to get hurt after getting 50 sacks per season, maybe at the end of his rookie deal he can not resign it. Because he could, but right now it seems like he's going to get 50 sacks per game. I really want him to go to Miami. I always had a good feeling about the new Miami head coach, and the only thing I don't have a good feeling about is them drafting Tua. But Tua could be a possible elite caliber quarterback one day. But my main concern about Tua is him starting right now, starting this season. I do not believe he should be starting this NFL season. If anything, you have to put in Josh Rosen. Don't put in Tua. He needs to sit out a year, learn the system, be 100% healthy, and then he can ease into being the starting quarterback. Or else he's going to have an issue like Cam Newton and countless and other quarterbacks have had in the past of being injured multiple times. I don't want to see that for Tua. I really don't. But besides the point, he's not even on this list, Tua. Joe Burrow will be the 31st worst quarterback because he's going to have the rookie mistakes probably. He's going to have a really bad offensive line, a really bad head coach, and he's just surrounded by a really bad team. The only thing that I could say good about that team is the wide receiving core. But other than that, there's really nothing great to say about Joe Burrow. Maybe you never know. Maybe he'll have a great connection with T. Higgins. Other than that, I just don't see anything great about Joe Burrow. Ben Roethlisberger coming in at number 30. Reason why I have him coming in at number 30 is because before his injury, he played pretty bad. He played in 2 games, lost those 2 games, and only threw for 1 interception. I mean, it's no excuse for that. The offensive line is top 5. The receiving core is like top 10. I really like what they got going down in Pittsburgh. I really like Juju Smith-Schuster. He's always been I always liked him. I feel like it's a shame that Antonio Brown left the way he did because I feel like Juju and Antonio Brown are both number 1 receivers. They could have killed the NFL, but Antonio Brown had to be messed up in the head. But, no, I really like Juju. He's a number 1 guy. He didn't get the ball thrown a lot his way. He was also injured quite a lot last year. And that's why Juju didn't have a great stats last year. Me personally, I like Mason Rudolph, but it seems like the Steelers don't, and they want to move on, and they don't want him to have him as their starting quarterback of the future. But right now, Ben Roethlisberger is the only guy that seems like they're going to go with. He's not really great right now. He tore his arm ligament. That's really tough to get over, especially when you're already bad enough. And hopefully everything will end up being okay with him. But no, I haven't been a humongous fan of Ben Roethlisberger for quite some time now, and I just don't see him having a great season. Because if he had a bad season enough before his injury, and with a great offensive line and with a great receiving core, then how is he going to be any better next year? He has a better receiving core than he did last year, though. They added Chase Claypool, who's a solid guy. Could be a possible number 2 receiver behind Juju Smith-Schuster one day. But they're solid. I really like the receiver breakout year last year. Deontay Johnson, really nice, solid, deep threat. And Ryan Schwitzer, he's another solid slot receiver that they add into the pool. And now they have Chase Claypool, who's going to be a future breakout wide receiver someday. Like a real true number 2 guy someday. You know what I mean? So they're really packed on the Steelers receiving core right now. I like what they got cooking. Deontay Johnson probably going to have that big leap forward compared to his rookie season, because he played like a really good starter last year in his rookie season, and he's probably going to have another big step forward. And that's the thing. The Steelers have a really good eye for talent for receivers. I've never realized that, because they drafted Antonio Brown in the 6th round. They got Hines Ward. They drafted Juju in the 3rd. Deontay Johnson, I believe it was in the 2nd round. But, yeah. But that's besides the point. Ben Roethlisberger, yeah, he's been on decline for quite a while now. He's probably going to decline bigger than he's ever had before. But we're really going to see the need for another new, young, fresh quarterback. And this is probably going to be Ben Roethlisberger's last year, because he really played horrible before his season-ending injury with an arm ligament getting torn. And yeah, that's all I pretty much got to say about Ben Roethlisberger. All in all, coming in at number 30, he's going to probably have a bad season. All right, and moving on to number 29. We have Ryan Fitzpatrick coming in at number 29. Now, at this point forward, we're going to be talking about quarterbacks that are just going to play okay this season, because we're done talking about bad quarterbacks, because there's only going to be 3 bad quarterbacks, in my opinion, going into next year. If everyone I have on this list is starting, then I believe there's only going to be 3 bad quarterbacks, which is Philip Rivers, Joe Burrow, and Ben Roethlisberger. Oh, funny thing is, I only have Joe Burrow being the only starting rookie quarterback going to next year, so it's actually kind of funny. But yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's going to have a couple issues going into next year. His receiving core is all right. I mean, really good year. Allen Hurns, I've always liked him. He's okay. And Albert Wilson, another solid guy. And they got Preston Williams, who's probably gonna take a step forward from his rookie year. Yeah, they're kind of solid on the receiving side. Oh, they got Matt Collins too, which is he's just a waste of a roster spot. But I mean, all in all, Ryan Fitzpatrick is gonna struggle a little bit. Yeah. Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to struggle a little bit. He doesn't have a great passing offensive line. His offensive line is mainly for running, so they're probably going to run the ball a ton. They got Jordan Howard now, so they're probably going to be utilizing him a little bit more. He'll probably have about the same season that he did last year, in my opinion. I think he's going to have basically the same season, but his offensive line is pretty bad, though. He's going to struggle like he did last year. I see him having pretty much the same season that he did last year, except a little bit more talented everywhere else. Like, I mean, the running back position upgraded with Jordan Howard, because they basically didn't have a running back last season, and I just see them doing all right. You know, Ryan Fitzpatrick probably going to throw another 20 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. I mean, he's probably going to play all 16 games of the season. Maybe he won't. Maybe they'll put in Josh Rosen a couple times at some point. The majority of the games, I believe, will be Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I just hope to God they don't put in Tua. Miami fans, just pray they don't put him in, because if he puts him in, if they decide to put Tua in, then he's going to possibly be a bust because he's going to be injured all the time. And right now, they should just stick with Ryan Fitzpatrick for at least 1 or 2 years because I don't think Tua will be ready right now, especially not right now. But maybe next year, maybe have Ryan Fitzpatrick start halfway through the season, and then maybe next year put him in because right now the Miami Dolphins is not a Super Bowl or playoff ready team. I think they're going to have to wait at least 1 or 2 years to make it to the playoffs one day. But for right now, they're not a playoff ready team. One day they will be, but right now they are not. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, I see him coming at number 30 or coming at number 29. He's just going to have an okay season. Not going to be anything great. It's not going to be anything elite. But Ryan Fitzpatrick coming in at number 29. All right. Coming at number 28, we have Sam Darnold. Now, Sam Darnold, he lost a key guy that he's always been okay in my opinion, but it seems like Sam Darnold had a great connection with him. He lost Robbie Anderson, and he did get a couple new guys. They drafted Denzel Mims, he's okay. Maybe he'll be good, but I never found him to be like, oh my gosh, or anything. Rashad Perriman, I've been impressed with him for the past couple of years. I was impressed with him with the Browns, and I was impressed with him with the Buccaneers. So, I mean, he has something growing with his, I don't want to say with his career, but I mean, with the way things are going right now, he's slowly turning into the receiver that he should have been. Jamison Crowder, always a fan favorite of mine. He's a personal favorite of mine. Jamison Crowder, I think he'll be the number 1 receiver going into next season. Maybe they'll pick up Demaryius Thomas again. I doubt it. Demaryius Thomas was okay with the Jets. He wasn't anything amazing, but Demaryius Thomas has been in a major decline for a while now. But this isn't about Demaryius Thomas. This is about Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's offensive line it's not going to be that great. It's one of the worst in the NFL, passing wise and running wise. They got Frank Gore now and Le'Veon Bell, so they're probably going to be running with them a lot more too. But I mean, he got sacked a ton last season, and he had another pick-heavy season. He had 19 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. It seems like he's always going to have a pick-heavy season throughout the rest of his NFL career. I mean, offensive line's going to be pretty bad. But the one thing to keep in mind is they probably would have made it to the playoffs if he never caught mono. Hopefully he doesn't catch any mono or gets injured going into next year. And they do win more games with him than without him because they were horrible without Sam Darnold at the quarterback position. But he did struggle a lot. He did struggle in some games. He did really struggled against the Patriots. But he really came into gear. He reminds me a lot of Eli Manning. And I feel like he's going to have a career like Eli Manning, a long-time New York quarterback. He's going to be there for the long haul. He's a good quarterback for them. And, yeah, he's still really young. He's only 22. He has a lot more to go. I mean, right now they're just not ready to win like a ton of games right now. You know what I mean? So, all in all, they're not going to be that great going into next year. Hopefully he stays healthy all 16 games. Hopefully he'll stay healthy for all 16 games. But for right now, I just don't see him having like an amazing season. It's just going to be okay to mediocre at best. Maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick will do a little bit better than him, but their team is really not that impressive right now, and he's just not going to be having an impressive season due to a bad offensive line and an okay receiving core. Even though I'm a big fan of Jamison Crowder, he's not a number 1 guy for Sam Darnold at this moment. So all in all, Sam Darnold coming in at number 28 for the NFL 2020 season. All right, coming at number 27, Dak Prescott. Okay, so reason why I think Dak Prescott is not going to have a great NFL season is due to a couple things. One, he's having such a big drama right now with the Cowboys organization. There's just a lot of drama going on at this moment. There's arguments with Jerry Jones. He wants a $40 million contract. He's right now currently franchise tagged, and he wants $40 million to continue to play with the Dallas Cowboys organization. You're not Patrick Mahomes. That's more than Russell Wilson. You are not Russell Wilson. At least you should be paid as much as Carson Wentz, $27 million. That's it. Carson Wentz right now is currently being paid $27 million per year. And Dak wants 40. He thinks he's better than Carson Wentz? Hell no. No. Did you have an MVP season? Did you almost win an NFL MVP? No, you did not. Dak Prescott throws empty yards during garbage time. And it's insane the amount of turnovers he has. He's not clutch. Dak Prescott is not clutch. And like almost every game he needed to be clutch in. I'm sorry. He's not worth $40 million. But that's besides the point. Why is he going to have a bad season? Because there's major bad blood with the team right now. Yes, he does have a good receiving core. Yes, he does have a good running back. On paper, the team is really good. But in reality, just because you have a really good team on paper doesn't mean you're going to have a really good team. Who knows how great Dak Prescott is going to be with Mike McCarthy? How much is he going to invest? Because Dak Prescott's thinking right now is like, hey, I'm only going to be here for 1 year and that's it. I'm out. You know? Maybe he doesn't feel like proving himself worthy of being the quarterback of that franchise again. Like maybe he doesn't feel like, I don't know, proving it to Jerry Jones or whatever. You know what I mean? I just don't have a great feel. There's just too much drama going on right now with the Dallas Cowboys organization. And as a team right now, they're a big mess. Who knows if he's even going to start? I know he's saying right now he's going to start, but I have a gut feeling that he's just not going to start because of his selfish reasons. He's really acting selfish right now. The only good trait about Dak Prescott that I can say is he's a good leader. But other than that, I have nothing else great to say. And right now, he's destroying the only good trait about him. He's partying all the time. He's not showing maturity. He's just not reaching out to certain players to be on the team. He's just acting like he doesn't care. I'm sorry, Dak Prescott fans. I just don't know what to tell you. I can't seem to put. I actually really wanted to put him dead last, but he might be starting this season. If Andy Dalton ends up starting this whole season, then yeah, I think I would have Andy Dalton coming in number 30 instead of Ben Roethlisberger. But I'm not really sure. I don't think right now we're in an unknown with the Dallas Cowboys. Is he going to start? Is he not? Is he even going to try his 100%? All I know is $40 million is insane. He thinks he's worth Patrick Mahomes. That's funny. 30 touchdowns and 13 interceptions was his last season stats. And I'm not a big stats person, but all those stats came during garbage time and useless yards. He never got it done when it counted the most. He didn't. All of those touchdowns were against easy teams also. And how the hell do you not beat the Philadelphia Eagles with Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and Randall Cobb? I mean, it's sad. It's sad. I was there. I was there during that game. And what I saw was Michael Gallup and Randall Cobb open multiple times. If you guys don't remember what I'm talking about, Eagles and Cowboys fans, if you remember, I believe it was week 16 during the NFL season, and Eagles were playing at home. And it was Cowboys versus the Eagles. It was for the division title. And Dak Prescott honestly did not look like he cared at all. I know he had a little bit of a bang-up shoulder, but I've seen players with more injuries and gone through worse, and they played great. And then in the next week, Dak Prescott played awesome also. And the week after that, week 17 against the Redskins, when it really didn't count, Dak Prescott threw 4 touchdowns. So obviously there's a trend there where Dak Prescott can't play great during clutch and critical situations. But for crying out loud, he has Michael Gallup. He had Randall Cobb, and he had Amari Cooper. All 3 of those guys, at one point or another, they were wide open, and Dak Prescott, for some reason, he didn't even pay attention to them. I saw the whole thing. Amari Cooper was at one point I think he burned out Jalen Mills. They didn't show this on TV, but they burned Jalen Mills, and he was wide open for a deep throw. And then Dak Prescott did not just he didn't throw it. He threw it to a nice, easy pass. He threw it to Michael Gallup, who was like in double coverage, I believe. It looked like Dak Prescott didn't care that whole game, and that whole game was pathetic. He's not worth $40 million. I think there's better options than him. I mean, I feel like they could have paid Teddy Bridgewater $20 million for 3 years, like what the Panthers did. And the Cowboys, and he's better than Dak Prescott. Just look at the film. But I don't think he's going to have a great year. I don't know if it's either he's not going to try his best or something's going to happen. There's right now big and locker room drama with that team. It's just a big mess. The whole Dallas Cowboys right now is a big mess. So I don't see Dak Prescott going any higher than number 27. Coming in number 26, we got Josh Allen coming in at number 26. So, yes, everything got better. His tight ends got better. His receiving core got better. His offensive line got better. Everything about the Bills got better. But it's just going to be one of those things where they're just going to have a decline similar to like the Vikings did. It's just going to be like a decline where they can't live up to the expectations that people have set upon to them. Their schedule is more difficult, and they're just going to have a little bit more trouble. But this isn't personally about the Bills. It's about Josh Allen, and he's going to have a little bit of a decline, a little bit of a down year. And I'm not saying he's just not going to be able to perform the way that people think he is. But he's going to do great in 2022 and 2021. He's going to do better in 2021, but I just don't feel like this is his year right now. Just not this year. There's so much tough competition going on in the AFC East. I just don't think the Bills will live up to the hype that the expectations everyone has set upon them. I don't see Josh Allen having a greater year than he did last year, even though in theory, he would, but he's just going to do okay. All right. I'm not saying he's going to do bad or anything. We're not even sure if he's going to have a down year. He's just going to be okay. He's not going to be like elite or anything. But his arm is still really good. So Allen, he's going to be a number 26. He's not going to be great or bad. He's just going to be okay. In theory, he should be better with Stephon Diggs, but All right. Coming at number 25, we have Kyle Allen. 2 Allens in a row. Hey. All right, so we have Kyle Allen coming at number 25. Out of the quarterback competitions, like I said earlier, Alex Smith versus Dwayne Haskins versus Kyle Allen. I believe Kyle Allen will win the quarterback battle. He knows the system more. He knows Ron Rivera, like personal connection. I don't think Ron Rivera is all in on Dwayne Haskins, and neither am I. I'm not a big fan of Dwayne Haskins. We'll see how he's going to do. Right now I just don't have a great gut feeling about him. But Kyle Allen, he started a ton last year, and don't get me wrong, he did have some issues, but I feel like his issues were all in his head, and I feel like the pressure and the way the offense changed, and I just feel like Kyle Allen wasn't given more of a chance. Like, people are already writing him off before he really got started. I feel like his arm is strong enough to be in the NFL. He has great accuracy. He played great. I don't think anyone realizes he played amazing during the Saints. When they versed the Saints near the end of the season, I believe Ron Rivera was still their head coach at the time. But they played great. Kyle Allen played great against the Saints with a bad team. The Panthers were kind of bad last year, and it wasn't Kyle Allen's fault. There were just a lot of things, and he also made some rookie mistakes too, because it was his first time starting. Give the guy a break. Yes, he did. He did throw 17 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. I get that, but there was other factors to it besides just blaming it all on him. You know what I mean? He played great during the Saints game, if anyone remembers. He threw 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he threw really clutch throws. The reason why they lost that game is their defense didn't held up. All in all, I feel like Kyle Allen is going to have a better year because it's going to be a step forward. Still same system, just different team. Receiving core, it's kind of bad still. I like Terry McLaurin. He was the best rookie wide receiver. He's their best receiver. He's gonna be their number one receiver for a long time, unless Terry McLaurin doesn't decide to resign his rookie contract. But everyone else on the team is just, it's not that great. I wasn't a fan of Kelvin Harmon, Trey Quinn, Cam Sims, who was a rookie last year as well. The only guy I could see starting as well is Cody Latimer, who I've been a fan of, but he's just never been healthy. And Emmanuel Hall, man, Emmanuel Hall I was a big fan of him coming out of college last year. He was a great rookie, just never got the chance to start like he should have. Maybe he'll work out with the Redskins. He didn't work out with the Bears, which is a shame. But we'll see how he does. So we'll see how Kyle Allen does with the Redskins. His offensive line is okay. It's nothing great or anything. It's just okay. And he also has a good running back core. So I think Kyle Allen he'll do good. He played pretty bad with a bad roster with the Carolina Panthers, and we'll see how he'll be with the Redskins. Maybe he's the future starting franchise for that team. He's a franchise starting quarterback for a team somewhere. And if he's not going to be, that's going to be such a shame and such a waste of his talent, because he's really, really good. I would like to see him even go to New England if he ended up not going to, if he ended up not being going anywhere else going to next year. So yeah, Kyle Allen coming in at number 25, solid option, solid quarterback, and yeah, I think he'll be okay. All right, I think now we're getting into the little bit better category. Like, these guys, I feel like they're gonna have a good year. All right, coming in at number 24, we have Tyrod Taylor. All right, I've been a fan of Tyrod Taylor for a long time now. I think I've discussed this in the past. In my last video, I had a Tyrod Taylor versus Justin Herbert video, our segment. I had Tyrod Taylor winning the job. I still believe he's going to win the job. I think the offense can move towards his talents, where he's the second fastest quarterback in the NFL. He has a good arm still. I feel like sitting out a year, make sure he's 100% healthy. I feel like this is going to be a big step for Tyrod Taylor. I think he's going to have a solid year. I'm excited to watch him play. He's going to have a good receiving core for once, like a really, really good receiving core. He has Keelan Allen. He has Mike Williams. Maybe Joe Reed the rookie that they just drafted. Maybe Joe Reed could get in there a little bit. They got a good receiving core growing in Los Angeles. So I like Tyrod Taylor. I think he's going to do good going into next year. He's probably going to have a bunch of running stats. Maybe they'll integrate what they did with Lamar Jackson with Tyrod Taylor. You never know. Hopefully he stays healthy the whole entire season. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll be great. And Tyrod Taylor, I think he's going to have a good season. Not like, oh my God, Hall of Fame. Not, oh my God, MVP caliber season. But he's going to have a good season. And, yeah, it's his time to start right now. And hopefully no one else will come in and take his job. Because I think Justin Herbert should sit out a year or two and let Tyrod Taylor start. All right, coming in at number 23, we have Daniel Jones. His offensive line got better. I feel like that team's going to take a step forward now that they have. He's a little bit of a better head coach, but I like the offensive coordinator, Jason Garrett. I like what he's doing right now. I like that they added him. I feel like he'll be a perfect offensive coordinator for Daniel Jones. The receiving core, they're okay. Daniel Jones is going to take that step forward. He played really good last year. I'm surprised. I looked at his film. He played pretty good. The only problem he had was a fumbling problem. But he threw for 22 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, which, once again, stats aren't everything. But he played pretty good. He didn't play awful or anything. I was shocked of how great he played. I didn't realize, because everyone's already saying that they're ready to move on from Daniel Jones. And I'm like, he hasn't even started for a whole second year. Give him another chance. He played pretty good. He wasn't a pick machine. He's an Eli Manning clone. He's an Eli Manning clone who can run, because he's a solid runner too. He has good speed, and he has a good arm. I didn't realize this. He was really good with the deep throw. He was really good at throwing deep. I was shocked. They got Saquon Barkley. They can utilize him a lot more. I hope he's at 100% this upcoming season. And I'm ready to watch Daniel Jones play some more. I'm excited. So coming at number 23, Daniel Jones is going to have a step up. He's going to have a better year. And Darius Slayton also, he's probably going to be better going into next year. He's Darius Slayton, who Daniel Jones, they seemed like they had a nice connection going. It seemed like it was his go-to guy in the end zone. So Daniel Jones is going to have a step up. I really liked him. He just had a little bit of a fumbling problem, which I'm sure he's going to solve because every rookie quarterback has some issue that they need to solve going into next year. And Daniel Jones is a good quarterback for the Giants. He's going to be a solid quarterback for their franchise moving on forward. And, I'm excited to watch him play. He's going to have a good season. And, and also I'm pretty sure in my predictions I have the Giants having a winning record, which is also going to help them as well. So, all right, moving on. All right, moving on to number 22, we have Derek Carr coming in at number 22. I didn't know this, but according to a lot of people, they say the Las Vegas Raiders have the best offensive line going into next year. They got best passing, best running, and that's pretty good. I mean, I know they got Trent Brown and Richie Incognito, who are a solid right tackle and left guard. So this offensive line should be pretty good, and he finally has a number one option. I was pretty sure it was going to be Antonio Brown ruined the Las Vegas Raiders in a way. Like, Derek Carr practiced with Antonio Brown, and he was supposed to be the number one guy. He was. And Antonio Brown ruined it. Antonio Brown, man, he's just... I think they would have had a better season if Derek Carr had the number one guy. I mean, I like Tyrell Williams. I like Hunter Renfrow. They're solid. Hunter Renfrow reminds me a lot of Wes Welker. Maybe he can turn into a number one guy one day. But not having Antonio Brown there last year like they were supposed to really killed the team. Like, why did he just waste their time like that? They could have drafted a guy. They could have gotten someone else. He just wasted... Sorry about that. They just wasted his time. He has a number one guy now. I feel like Henry Ruggs would be a solid guy. He's a solid deep threat. You got Tyrell Williams and Hunter Renfrow. Even Zay Jones you can add in there too. Oh, they also got Nelson Aguilar, who's a solid backup because he's no longer a starter. And, I mean, they're solid. They're stacked. Offensive line's good. Receiving core is good. Everything should be good. Just Derek Carr. And he had a good year last year. He near the end of the season, they just kind of fell apart, and everyone that was just falling apart. But maybe they'll be a little bit better going into next year. Derek Carr, especially, will be better. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's solid. I think this is gonna have a solid season. So coming in at number 22, I have Derek Carr, and I'm sure he's gonna be pretty good. All right, coming in at number 21, we have Jared Goff. Now, Jared Goff had a really bad offensive line last year. That's what mainly destroyed the season. And coming into this year, it got a little bit better. They added some people to their offensive line, but I mean, he also lost Brandon Cooks too. But it seemed like he was connecting a lot with Cooper Rush. I know they're really good buds off the field, and I mean, losing Brandon Cooks is probably gonna be a little bit of a hit to their team. But they got Van Jefferson, who I was kind of a fan of. I was also kind of see where they're gonna go with J.J. Koski, and I mean, maybe those two guys can one day be a replacement and whatever. They could be the replacement for Brandon Cooks, but for right now, I think their day one starters will be Josh Reynolds, Cooper Kupp, and Robert Woods. So I don't know. I think Jared Goff will definitely. He's always been solid to me. I mean, if he made it to the Super Bowl, then he has to be a good quarterback. Like, he made it from day one all the way to the end of the season. Jared Goff back in 2018, and it's just, I think the offensive line was really bad last year. Everyone wasn't at their best, but I do believe Jared Goff will have a good year though. His offensive line got better. His receiving core did go down, but I mean, we'll see how it goes. So coming at number 21, I have Jared Goff. I think he's just going to have a solid season. All right, we're now in the top 20. Now, these guys are going to play pretty good. All right, coming in at number 20, I have Gardner Minshew coming in at number 20. Now, I just don't understand why people have such a problem with Gardner Minshew. He's great. He really is. He doesn't have the best arm. He came out of the 6th round, and he played pretty damn good. He improved throughout the season. And I'm hearing excuses that he went 6-10. No, he didn't go 6-10. He went 6-6 technically. He had rookie mistakes, and I think he was the best rookie quarterback. He was better than Kyler Murray. He was better than Daniel Jones. He was better than all those guys. I don't know if anyone watches games. Did they? I mean, he was getting hit with defensive players all the time, and that's why Nick Foles didn't do that great, because Nick Foles got hit every second. Gardner Minshew is a scrambler. He was dodging him like he was Aaron Rodgers. And also, he didn't have a number one guy. So Gardner Minshew is going to have a step forward with a not great wide receiving core and not a great offensive line. And I just hope that the Jaguars believe in him, because I'm a Jaguars fan and we need a good quarterback. Blake Bortles sucked. Nick Foles was okay, but I love Nick Foles, and it just wasn't the fit. If they don't stick with Gardner Minshew, they're on crack, and I call for someone's job. So hopefully, and also Gardner Minshew has a better offensive coordinator now. He has Jay Gruden, who's the brother of John Gruden. Jay Gruden was the head coach of the Redskins, and he was also the offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals, and he was pretty good as their offensive coordinator. So I really believe in the offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Their receiving core is okay. They lost Marquise Lee, but he wasn't even there last year. They got DJ Chark. They got Chris Conley, D.D. Westbrook. I mean, they're just okay. I don't know. The rookie guys I'm not impressed with. Maybe they'll end up being pretty good. Maybe they'll be end up surprising me. But I'm not really impressed with anyone with the Jaguars right now. And I have Gardner Minshew coming in number 20. He's going to take that step forward no matter how great the team will be. He will be great. And it's such a shame that there's so much crap going on to him. He's such a great leader, a great guy. I don't know why everyone wants to get rid of him. Other Jaguars fans, I'm a big Jaguars fan, and it seems like everyone rallied with him. Jaguars fans, if you know what I'm saying. So let me know down in the comments, Jaguars fans, what do you think? Are you with Gardner Minshew, or you want someone else? Or do you go on a guy like Cam Newton? Well, Cam Newton's with the Patriots now, but for the longest time, everyone wanted Cam Newton to go with Jacksonville. No. Gardner Minshew is young enough. His arm isn't the best, but just because you don't have a great arm doesn't mean you're not a great player, great quarterback. I mean, I've seen, Tom Brady, he's always had an okay arm, but Drew Brees right now, he has a bad arm. He's had a bad arm for the past 5 years, and he's been breaking records. So just because you have a bad arm doesn't mean you're bad. Gardner Minshew kind of reminds me a little bit of a mix between Drew Brees and Andrew Luck. Gardner Minshew doesn't have the best arm. He has a weaker arm like Drew Brees, but the way he throws and the way he moves in the pocket, it kind of reminds me of Andrew Luck. So I really like Gardner Minshew. I just don't understand why anyone doesn't. Why are people discrediting him still? But all in all, I think he's going to have a good year. I honestly do. He was one of the best rookie quarterbacks from last year. Had a little limited interceptions. He only had 6, 21 to 6. It's not bad. And I'm sure if he played more games, he would have probably thrown for maybe even 28 touchdowns. So, all in all, I think he's going to have a good year here, coming in at number 20. All right, moving on to coming in at number 19, Tom Brady. Now, all right, so Tom Brady is kind of an interesting case. We're not really sure how he's going to be without Bill Belichick's offensive scheme, the playbook. It's an all-new system. So how is Tom Brady going to perform? Is he going to do well with the system or without the system? To be quite honest, I think he's going to do just okay. I think he's going to do well with the. Luckily, there's great great receivers, elite level talent receivers. How is he going to play with the new system though? I think he's going to play all right. The offensive line is it's about mediocre. So that's going to be a big problem for Tom Brady as well. If you remember, anytime Tom Brady has a bunch of pressure in his face, he always ends up tensing up, not making an accurate pass, and that happened a lot last year. It happened a lot when a lot of pressure got on Tom Brady. Now that Tom Brady has a new offensive line who's just mediocre compared to his past years with New England, I don't know how he's going to do that good. I think he's going to throw about 29 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. I feel like he's going to throw a high amount of interceptions. Like maybe even 30 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. I don't know. I think it's going to be a lot of interceptions. And another thing, how is he? He's going to get sacked a lot, most likely. He's probably going to get sacked like 3 times a game. Like, is Tom Brady really going to be... How is Tom Brady going to feel by the end of the season? He's not getting any younger. He's 43 years old coming into this season. Like, you know what I mean? I just don't know how elite is he going to be. How great he's really going to be. So I'm kind of in the unknown about that. But in my personal opinion, I think he's going to throw a ton of interceptions. But he's going to have a decent year. It's going to be a decent first year, because it seems like every single first-year quarterback for Bruce Arians always has a bad year. You can include Jameis Winston on that list, but I think that system tried to help Jameis Winston, but Jameis Winston ended up failing because he's not a good quarterback. But I think Tom Brady will be a lot better in that system. I think he will be throwing a lot of interceptions this season, first time in his career. It's probably going to be the most amount he's ever thrown, because I think he's going to throw about 16 interceptions this season, but the most he's ever thrown for was 14. So we'll see how he's going to adjust to throwing a lot of interceptions. So, so who knows how great is he going to be compared to his past years. But he is getting older. The offensive line is mediocre. He's probably going to get sacked a lot. And he's not as mobile. He's not Jarrett Stidham. He's not Daniel Jones. He's not Carson Wentz mobile. He's Tom Brady. To be honest, he's gotten faster as he's gotten older, to be honest. He has gotten faster, but he's still really slow. He's not going to really be doing like dodging all the defensive tackles and stuff. So that's going to be a big struggle for Tom Brady coming into this year. So how I think he's going to do, I think he's going to do good. But don't expect him to be, oh my gosh, like everyone thinks he's going to be the best thing that ever happened to Tampa Bay. Maybe he will someday, but right now, going into next year, he's going to be interception heavy, and it's just not going to be looking pretty. So he's going to probably have a good year. All right. Moving on to number 18. Matt Ryan. Now, Matt Ryan's kind of an interesting case. Matt Ryan last year started off really bad, and it was strange to see him struggle so much. I think he almost lost like every single game except in the first 7 games, but he did lose more games than he won this year. He won 7 games to compare to 8. And usually he's the one that's bringing his team up. Like last year in 2018, he threw for 35 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. It was MVP caliber numbers with an okay offensive line and okay receiving corps. So obviously he's in decline. He's really brought his team up before, but last year in the beginning of the season he was really bad. And I don't know what happened exactly, if it was Dan O'Brien's coaching, because they're usually on the same page. But whatever happened, they kicked it to gear later in the season. They ended up beating tough opponents, the 49ers. They beat the Saints at one point. They kicked it into gear, and I don't know what made it kick it into gear. And the fact that they're better this year than to last year, that says a lot. Just talking about all-around offense and weapons for Matt Ryan. But keep in mind, he is going into decline. He's going to be 35 next year. The Falcons should start thinking about a replacement. The Falcons should be thinking about a replacement for Matt Ryan coming really soon. So right now, Matt Ryan's probably going to have a good year in 2020. It's not going to be amazing or whatever. It's probably going to be a better year than last year, because his offensive line has definitely improved a lot. It has, because it's still not as good as it should be for Matt Ryan at thinking about his age, but it has gotten better. And I believe he did get injured one game. Matt Schaub came in, I think, for a couple of games. So injury bug is already starting to hit him a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm not saying he's like injury prone all the time now. But, so, and then also comparing to last year, he had a little bit, his wide receivers struggled immensely, and it was kind of strange. Julio Jones even struggled a little bit too. He had a little bit of a down year. And it's not just Matt Ryan's fault. He dropped critical passes. So we'll see how everyone does next year. But I think Matt Ryan will have a solid year. Not MVP caliber numbers or stats as he usually has, but he's probably going to have a solid year. I'm not expecting anything big from him, but I'm expecting to have him have a pretty good year. So all in all, Matt Ryan coming in number 18. All right. Moving on. Coming in number 17, we have Teddy Bridgewater. Now, Teddy Bridgewater is going to a new team. Last year, he was with the New Orleans Saints, and quite honestly, I was extremely impressed. I think he played better than Drew Brees did while Drew Brees was injured. When he was playing, he threw for 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and won every single game he played. And those 2 interceptions weren't even his fault. Michael Thomas dropped a really bad pass. Michael Thomas dropped an easy ball, tipped it up into the air, and it got picked. I think, quite honestly, I think Teddy Bridgewater should be with the Saints right now. I was advocating for him to be the heir to Drew Brees. Unfortunately, he's going to a less talented team, but hopefully he can be the future starting quarterback for the Panthers franchise. He has a great leadership. He's great. He has a great attitude. He has really, really good leadership, and he has a good arm. Mobility is on key for him, and I just really like Teddy Bridgewater. He's just going to a really not that talented team right now, and I'm not even sure. I'm not even convinced that he's going to be the starting quarterback for good. Like, he's going to be the starting quarterback for the rest of that franchise, because I feel like they're going to be replacing him with P.J. Walker at some point after his contract is up, which is a shame because, it's not. I like P.J. Walker a lot, and he is young, but I wish Teddy Bridgewater would have a solid, lifelong team, like a team that would take him as their franchise quarterback. Maybe he'll get that after this contract is up with Carolina. I kind of wanted him to go to Miami, to be honest with you, be the future starting, being the franchise quarterback for the Dolphins. But the Panthers is a good team. I think he deserves a Super Bowl, because I've been a fan of him ever since he was with the Vikings, and I thought he played pretty good, but unfortunately he had that really bad injury. And I've always felt like he should be the heir to Drew Brees once Drew Brees retires, but I guess the Saints didn't feel the same. And I think they're going to go with Taysom Hill, which is a really bad choice. Or Jameis Winston. Oh, God, if they choose Jameis Winston, I'm a Saints fan, and I would freak out. No, I am not okay Jameis Winston being the future franchise quarterback of the Saints franchise. But we're talking about the Panthers. Who does he have? He has quite a few playmakers. He has DJ Moore, who's a standout wide receiver for the Panthers last season. Really, really solid deep. He was a really solid deep threat for the Panthers last year. Kyle Allen threw to him a ton, and he also has he also got a brand new weapon, who is Sam Darnold's favorite weapons. Robbie Anderson, who is also another great deep threat. That's the only thing he's good for. His hands are okay. He's not really good at making the sharpest routes, but he has a really good. He's really good at running deep. You know what I mean? He has good speed. He has good elusiveness, and Robbie Anderson will also help Teddy Bridgewater next year. Curtis Samuel, another great guy, another great receiver with good hands. But what really stands out to me, who I think, quite honestly, was really underrated for the last couple years, is Keith Kirkwood. If you don't know him, he's a wide receiver. He came out of Temple. His quarterback was P.J. Walker, the second-string quarterback of the Panthers. By the way, I'm not even counting Will Grier. Will Grier is not. his quarterback mechanics are so bad. I don't think anyone can help him besides Bill Belichick, maybe. But his arm is not even that great. I'm not a fan of Will Grier at all. But P.J. Walker, I'm considering him the second string quarterback. That was the wide receiver. They both played at Temple. And I don't know. I really like Keith Kirkwood coming out of Temple. And he went to the Saints, and he played pretty good. But unfortunately, last year he got injured. Well, maybe he'll get a chance to start. Maybe he'll get a chance to start as second string, or who knows? Maybe he'll rotate with Curtis Samuel. I think he's that good. I really, really am a big fan of Keith Kirkwood. I hope he gets a chance to play with the Carolina Panthers. They picked up a undrafted rookie receiver, Omar Bayless. I also kind of like him. Maybe he'll get a chance to start a little bit too. So the Panthers have a solid receiving core. And I feel like Teddy Bridgewater is going to have a good time playing for the Panthers. I mean, he has good weapons and stuff. But my only concern is the offensive line. Teddy Bridgewater, out of all of his years playing, he's never had a crowded offensive line. I mean, there was points where he has been pretty good at throwing under pressure, but the Panthers' offensive line is one of the worst. Passing offensive line is okay, but, it's not anything amazing. And there's a lot of weak points into their offensive line. So how will he handle the pressure going towards him going into next year? I hope he does great, but, that might be a big concern. But he is fast. He has some speed to him, and you never know. I mean, I don't think they're going to make it to the playoffs. I don't think he's bringing them to the playoffs for another 2 or 3 years. Because that's what Matt Rule does. And I really like Matt Rule. He coached a lot of great college teams besides Temple. And, I'm a fan of Matt Rule. I like what he's building. And if he believes in Teddy Bridgewater, I do, definitely. I've always believed in Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's going to have a good year. Nothing amazing, probably like a solid 24 touchdowns, 5 interception type of year. So, yeah, I'm a fan of Teddy Bridgewater, and I'm glad he's gone to a team where he could start at. I wish it was with the New Orleans Saints because, quite frankly, I feel like Drew Brees' time is up. I don't want Taysom Hill, and I definitely don't want Jameis Winston to be our future starting quarterback. So, it is what it is. No bad blood, I guess, but I'm glad Teddy Bridgewater has found a home for at least 3 years. So, yeah, coming in number 17, Teddy Bridgewater. All right, coming up next, number 16, Drew Brees. All right, Drew Brees has been in decline for the past couple of years now. It's unfortunate, but every year he seems like at some point midway through the season, he starts giving out. Like, his arm starts becoming weaker. You could just tell the way he throws the ball, the mechanics. He just feels very uncomfortable when he throws that trigger. And I think this is going to be his last year. Be honest with you, I think his last year should have been I think last year should have been the year for him to retire. The way he plays in the playoffs, it's kind of scary. I mean, his clutchness isn't anywhere where it used to be, especially in the playoffs. But this is regular season. This is how he's going to play during the 2020 regular NFL season. And how is he going to play? He has really great weapons. He's recently acquired Emmanuel Sanders. That's really going to help him a lot. I like Michael Thomas as usual. He's elite. Traquan Smith will be a solid slot receiver for him. Maybe Traquan Smith will turn into his own a little bit. Maybe he'll become a little bit less dependent on other people. Maybe he'll have a little breakout year. I like Austin Carr. I mean, he's the brother of David and Derek Carr. I've liked him as a receiver. It's a shame that they never gave him the chance to start, but I think he's a solid receiver to have. They have another undrafted free agent that I like as receiver, Juwan Johnson. They also have great tight ends with Jared Cook and Josh Hill, who's always who's always a great help for Drew Brees. So, yeah, I mean, all in all, Drew Brees is in decline right now. Drew Brees is in decline. But how is he gonna play? He has a good offensive line, but how is he gonna play with being weaker halfway through the season. If he was with any other team, I don't think it would be that great. But this has to be his final year. It's either win the Super Bowl or retire, because at this point, Drew Brees has really overstayed his welcome. And you can always tell when quarterbacks are ready to go. I feel like Tom Brady's ready to go right now. He doesn't feel that way, but I mean, I don't know. I just don't feel like Drew Brees will have the capacity to play good throughout the whole entire season. He'll be a solid backup quarterback for sure. Right now, I don't think he has the capacity to play a whole entire NFL season. I don't think he can handle the workouts, the practice, the training over and over and over again. His arm has gotten weaker progressively. His arm is so weak that they need Taysom Hill to throw deep balls, because Drew Brees can't throw deep balls at all. He can't throw the ball deep. And yeah, so I think it's time for Drew Brees to retire. But right now, he has great receivers. He has a good offensive line. He has everything to make him great. I think even Josh McCown could play in this offense and still be pretty good. So if Josh McCown could do it, Drew Brees could do it. What I'm saying is, like, older quarterbacks could play great in this offensive scheme, because they got great weapons. They got 2 number 1 receivers with Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. They got solid backups. I like everything all around. So we'll see. We'll see how Drew Brees will play out. I don't think he's going to do great near the end of the season, but I'm sure he'll be pretty good in the beginning of the season as long as he doesn't get injured. All right, moving on to number 15. We have Nick Foles. All right. So you're probably wondering, like, Nick Foles played awful last year. He lost all 4 of his games, only threw 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Had a really bad completion. But it was the talent around Nick Foles. I mean, I'm not going to be here and saying, like, Nick Foles needs absolute 100% fantastic talent around him. I mean, I'm just saying that Nick Foles struggled because of a bad offensive line. There was a lot of things that happened wrong with him last year. He was really accurate before his injury. He also got injured last season. And there was a couple of factors too. You know what I mean? So his offensive line was pretty bad. I just think with Nick Foles going to Chicago, he's going to have a familiar head coach, a familiar system, and all around great talent around him. I really like Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson is such a great receiver. I just don't know how he manages to have 1,000-yard seasons with Blake Bortles and Mitchell Trubisky. That's insane. You have to be really, really good receiver. They got they have Cordell Patterson, who's always pretty good. Anthony Miller. You know, they also acquired Ted Ginn. We'll see how Riley Ridley would be next year. So, yeah, just keep an eye on the Bears. They got great talent going on. They have a pretty good offensive line for Nick Foles. All around great talents. So, why do I have him over Nick Foles? Or why do I have Nick Foles over Drew Brees and Teddy Bridgewater? Nick Foles is great. He's been great for quite a while now. He has. He just hasn't had a great talent with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He fit perfectly with the Eagles system, but he didn't fit good with the Jaguars system. That's just what happens sometimes. You know what I mean? He started out the season, before his injury, he started out pretty good. For like the first couple plays, they were really nice, beautiful deep ball right to DJ Chark, but unfortunately got injured on that play due to him having a bad offensive line. Like, he wasn't awful with the Jaguars. He wasn't. He really wasn't that bad at all. He wasn't amazing, but Gardner Minshew fit the system better, and he was better as their starting quarterback. So I think Nick Foles will have a solid year. Maybe he'll have a 30 touchdown season. You never know. I just think it's a shame that Mitchell Trubisky wasted the Bears defense. Who knows how great their defense are going to be going into next year. It's probably going to take a little bit of a step forward now that they actually have a good quarterback at the helm. Mitchell Trubisky, I'm done. I'm done with him. I'm done wasting my time on Mitchell Trubisky. Maybe he'll beat Nick Foles out of the quarterback competition job. I doubt it. Nah, I really see Nick Foles playing next year as their starting quarterback. I think it's time for Nick Foles to shine as the starter. And I think Nick Foles should just be the starter for a little bit, not be there forever. They need to draft a quarterback and have them sit behind Nick Foles for at least 3 years, because I think Nick Foles has like another 3 years. I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Foles wins comeback player of the year. I really wouldn't. I think that's how great he's going to play. And with everything kicking into gear, Matt Nagy actually having a quarterback that he really likes, I think this is a perfect opportunity for Nick Foles to shine. Hopefully he'll take the opportunity. Hopefully Matt Nagy rallies with Nick Foles, and I hope they really succeed, because I feel like if Nick Foles is the starting quarterback, man, wait for them to get to the playoffs. Nick Foles will outshine everybody he goes up against. If Nick Foles starts, I feel like there's a really, really good chance that they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Not win it, but go at least make it to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Because Nick Foles plays outstanding in the playoffs. If you remember back in 2018, Nick Foles outplayed Mitchell Trubisky by a lot. And unfortunately, Nick Foles was surrounded by a really, really bad Eagles offense. He had to bring that team back to life. He was down to a really, really bad undrafted free agent rookie with Josh Adams, who fumbles a lot, an aging veteran with Darren Sproles, and Wendell Smallwood, who hasn't been good for like forever for the Eagles back in 2018 versus the Bears. And he ended up playing really, really good. Like, and his receiving core wasn't that great. It was okay, Like, he had Alshon Jeffrey and Golden Tate, Nelson Aguilar. We all know how that goes. And he ended up outplaying Mitchell Trubisky, who had an all-around better team. So just imagine Nick Foles in that position, starting quarterback. Bears, get excited. I certainly am. I will be watching every game if Nick Foles starts. If Mitchell Trubisky is watching, I will turn the TV off so fast. I cannot watch Mitchell Trubisky play. I can't. I can't. If he starts next year, I feel so bad. I don't think I would be able to talk about the Bears on my channel. That's how bad it would be if Mitchell Trubisky starts. But I'm being a little harsh. Maybe Mitchell Trubisky will end up being good. I mean, he's not a bad person or anything. It's just a shame they wasted the talent of a great Bears team. You know what I mean? Great Bears defense and solid offense. He just wasted the time of the Bears. So maybe he'll do good, but I don't see it. I see Nick Foles winning the job, and I see Nick Foles bringing the Bears to the Super Bowl. But he's going to have a good year. All in all, I feel like Nick Foles will be having a great year, throwing, balling out there, being clutch like he always is, and yeah. All right, coming in at number 14, I have Aaron Rodgers. Now, this one's tough because Aaron Rodgers is still extremely elite. He really is. He has a good arm. I feel like his accuracy is still pretty good. His deep throws are amazing as usual. But unfortunately, he has one of the worst receiving cores in the NFL. You could even consider him to have the worst receiving core in the NFL. His tight ends are abysmal. And let's just look at last year for a second. He went 13-3 with that really bad wide receiver core. And he ended up throwing 26 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. That's pretty good. Ended up throwing for 4,000 yards with a crappy receiving core. Aaron Rodgers mainly threw to Jimmy Graham and Devontae Adams, so I guess that's how he managed to throw 4,000 yards. That's absolutely insane. I just feel bad for Aaron Rodgers. He deserves to win another Super Bowl. He's not going to win it in Green Bay because they're focused all on the run. They're just wasting his time, wasting his talents there. It's such a shame. Aaron Rodgers has a great arm still. He's still a great player, still great at making and improvising plays. He's clutch, So, and he ends up winning 13-3. And they didn't draft the number one position that they needed. They needed to draft a receiver. They did not. I just don't understand. Packers, they have an okay offensive line for Aaron Rodgers. It's nothing amazing. But the receiving core, man, and it's sad. Besides Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, Devin Funchess, he's just okay, you know. Marquez Valley Scantling, I don't know. He sucked. He dropped passes like crazy. Jake Comero, Equanis St. Brown. I don't know. These guys stuff. Oh yeah. Oh, that's great. They picked up an undrafted free agent, one of the worst undrafted free agents. Maybe he'll be good. Who knows? But they picked up Darrell Stewart Jr. Guys, you just didn't even help Aaron Rodgers at all, did you? Devin Funchess is a shell of his former self. He wasn't that great with Indianapolis last year. He hasn't been great for quite a while now. What are you guys doing? Like, Aaron Rodgers has elite potential. Make him throw the ball more. Like, this isn't helping him at all. He had one of the best plays last year. I remember one of the plays that he had was a defensive tackle, I think it was a defensive end who was ready to sack him, and he just threw the ball away, and someone made a really great play, and he threw the ball away to pinpoint accuracy. You know what I mean? Like, Aaron Rodgers still has elite potential, and he deserves to win another Super Bowl. I really want to see him leave. I want to see him to go to the Bears, maybe, because I love Nick Foles, but he's no Aaron Rodgers. Let me tell you, he's not. I would love to see him go to the Bears or just somewhere, man. Aaron Rodgers deserves to win another Super Bowl. He really does. I would like to see Aaron Rodgers go to a different team because he's not going to win it at Green Bay. I would love to see him go to the Buccaneers once they're done with Tom Brady. You know what I mean? I think that would be a great actual day. I mean, Tom Brady, who knows how he's going to play, but Aaron Rodgers, he'll have the time of his life, having amazing receivers with O.J. Howard and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Scott Miller, who might end up being something pretty great. You know what I mean? So they if he ended up going to Tampa Bay, that would be pretty amazing. But I don't see them dropping Tom Brady anytime soon. Maybe he can go to the Titans after they're done with Ryan Tannehill. Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of opportunities because they're already getting rid of him because they drafted Jordan Love. They're not really taking the time to actually help him though. They picked up one undrafted free agent who's he's just okay, Like they're not helping him. It's a shame. And they drafted a running back. The Packers drafted a running back of all positions that they needed. They drafted a running back in the second round. I'm not a Packers fan. I just don't understand. I just feel bad for Packers fans because they're making idiotic choices. They really are. I mean, maybe Jordan Love ends up being really great, but I mean, you guys went 13-3 for a reason. You made it to the NFC Conference Championship. You made it there for a reason. You just didn't make it there out of luck. Aaron Rodgers really did well with that team, Aaron Jones was also pretty good as well, but Aaron Rodgers, he needs help. Honestly, he really needs help. Yeah, I just don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to do that good because his receiving core is crap. Maybe get a guy out of retirement or free agency. Get Michael Crabtree. I mean, get somebody. Get Michael Crabtree. Maybe get Jordy Nelson out of retirement. He's better. Get Brandon Marshall out of retirement for crying out loud. All three of those guys I just mentioned are better than all the other guys on the receiving corps besides Devontae Adams, obviously. But, seriously, this is pathetic. The receiving corps is pathetic, honestly. They're a drop pass machine. People thought the Patriots receiving corps was bad. Packers receiving corps is pathetic. I think, actually, looking at it now, I would say the Packers receiving corps is the worst in the NFL. Because quite honestly, I can't think of a receiving corps that's worse than the Packers. You know what I mean? It's sad for Aaron Rodgers. I hope he gets a guy. Maybe, yeah. I'm really up for the Michael Crabtree route. I mean, maybe you could get Des Bryant. Des Bryant. I mean, he still got it. He still has hands. That's what they need. They need someone that can catch the ball. They do. Des Bryant. It's not a bad option, actually, now I think about it. They could get him for a cheap deal, I got Des Bryant. Yeah, Des Bryant, he was with the Saints. He ended up getting injured for, the past 2 years now. And it's a shame, but I think he deserves to have another chance. Get Des Bryant. I don't know if he's going to be cheap, but I'm pretty sure Michael Crabtree would be I think Michael Crabtree will still be pretty cheap. He's not the fastest wide receiver, but he has really good hands, and I think that's really important for a receiver like Michael Crabtree. He's a really good possession catcher, and I think it would be pretty good for Aaron Rodgers. Get him for a cheap deal, but all in all, I have Aaron Rodgers going at number 14 because his receivers are total garbage. Moving on to number 13. Oh, man, this is going to surprise some people. All right, moving on to number 13, we have Jackson. Okay, listen. All right, listen. Before you start yelling at your computer screen or your phone, listen. He's going to have a down year. I think defenses have already figured out Lamar Jackson's scheme, figured out what he's going to do, how he ends up being in these great positions. I think everyone's figured it out at this point. All you need is fast linebackers, and the Titans figured it out. The Titans had fast linebackers. They did, and they stopped Lamar Jackson every time. I think that's all you really need. But Lamar Jackson's going to have a down year. He is, even though the offensive line is top tier, even though the offensive line is like top 5 in the NFL, he's still going to have a down year. He'll be better with throwing, but typically coming out of an MVP season, you're not going to recreate your MVP season, you know? And don't get me wrong, Lamar Jackson has really great receiving talent going into next year. He has great receivers all around him. He's surrounded with talent. Marquise Brown's probably going to have a step up. Willie Snead is always a good option for him. He's fast. He's quick at catching the ball. He's pretty good. Solid receiver for him. Miles Boykin, great rookie receiver for Lamar Jackson last year. They looked like they clicked pretty well. I think he's going to have a step up too. He was really good at catching the ball like in critical situations. He has really, really, really good hands. He just needs to work on his route running a little bit. You know what I mean? I mean, they got pretty great receivers all around them. You know what I mean? Chris Moore, he's okay, but they drafted a guy too who I always found okay coming out of the draft. DeAnthony Thomas, an underrated guy in my personal opinion. I think they should be showing him the field a lot more. An undrafted free agent that I like that they picked up was Scotty Washington. I think he was he was an okay player in college. I think he's a raw talent that can turn into something really great also. So, all in all, I think the Ravens have great receiving talent for Lamar Jackson. It's just going to have a little bit of a down year because he's going to try to recreate that MVP season again. They're going to have a great defense. They're probably going to really rely on their defense a lot going into next year instead of Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson, they're going to figure him out a lot more because defenses had no idea how to stop him. I think they're going to figure out how to stop him going into next year. But he's going to have a little bit of a down year. He is. It's not going to be bad. It's just not going to be like top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. It's not going to be anything amazing, you know. So, yeah. Going number 13, Lamar Jackson. All right. Coming at number 12. We have Baker Mayfield. Okay. Well, let's get to the obvious. Baker Mayfield, let's get right to the point. Baker Mayfield did not have a great year last year. Baker Mayfield threw for 22 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. Not all of them were exactly his fault. And ended up going 6-10. Yikes. But it wasn't all his fault. I feel like one of the main issues from last year was Freddie Kitchens. He did not know how to adjust to situations where you need coaching adjustments. Even I knew that. I'm not an NFL coach, and even I know to adjust to certain things. He just didn't. He refused to adjust to what needed to happen in that game. You know, it wasn't all Baker Mayfield's fault. Now, he needed to keep his mouth shut. Baker Mayfield has a serious attitude problem that it's pretty bad, and it's getting worse. It is. I think he matured later on in the season, but he did mature later on in the season. There were a lot of controversies going on throughout that whole entire season. It was disgusting how much controversy there was, but this is about Baker Mayfield and how I think he's going to perform. I think he's going to perform pretty good. I like the new head coach that the Browns hired. I think the new system will be pretty good for Baker Mayfield, and who knows how Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. will step up. Maybe they'll be really good assets for Baker Mayfield. I think he's gonna have a pretty good year. He's not gonna let all that crap get into his head again like he did last year. And yeah, I mean, even though the offensive line got better, it's not the best, but it got better because last year was pretty bad. His offensive line was embarrassing, but he did get better. His receiving core is basically the same. Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr. Hopefully, Odell Beckham Jr. doesn't get injured again because he was dropping passes a lot last year. He dropped passes. He wasn't clutch. The whole team was a mess. I don't think it was all one person to blame. Their third string receiver, Rashard Higgins. I'm not a big fan of any of these guys. Basically, maybe Tywan Taylor. Maybe he'll be okay. But the one guy I'm really impressed with, the one guy that the Browns picked up, is Tony Brown. Now I said it then. Tony Brown is going to be the best undrafted free agent. I mean, not best undrafted, but I mean, he was the most underrated receiver coming out of the NFL draft. I think it was him, Jeff Thomas, and Will Hastings. All three of those guys were extremely underrated, really went right underneath the radar. And I feel like Tony Brown is a perfect third option. He's not going to be amazing or anything, but I think he'll be a solid third string receiver behind Rashard Higgins. So, I mean, I've never been a big fan of Rashard Higgins. I think he's just okay, but I think Tony Brown is a good one up for Rashard Higgins. So receiving core seems like it's going to be pretty good. And I think Baker Mayfield won't have all that crap in his head from like last year. He's going to have a good head coach for once, a good OC, and I don't know. I think he's going to have a pretty good year. It's not going to be MVP. People like to really overrate Baker Mayfield. He's not, oh my gosh, amazing. He's going to have a good year. He's not going to be, oh my gosh, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. He has Austin Hooper now too. Unfortunately, I'll be talking about this in my next episode, but unfortunately, David Njoku recently asked for a trade request. We're going to be talking about that next episode. Oh my gosh, this is such a long episode, man. This is a great episode. I'm so glad. I worked really hard on this episode. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it. But back to what I was saying. Baker Mayfield's going to have a good receiving core. Good, and he's going to have an okay offensive line. It's definitely better from last year. Great coaching. He's going to have a pretty good year. It's not going to be. The one thing that you got to keep in mind with Baker Mayfield, he's a gunslinger. He is. He's going to be throwing a ton of interceptions, not in a crazy amount, like nothing, nowhere near like it was last year. But he's going to be an interception heavy type of quarterback, and he's probably going to be like that for the rest of his career. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. And I think he's definitely going to have a better year than he did last year. And I'm pretty excited to see how he's going to play. So, yeah. All right. Moving on to number 11. Coming in number 11, we have Jarrett Stidham. Yeah. You're probably expecting Cam Newton here, but if Cam Newton was here, he would be at the bottom of my list. All right, let's get into Jarrett Stidham. Oh, man, the Cam Newton fans are going to really hate me for saying that. Jarrett Stidham. I've said this multiple times. I said in the beginning of my video, Jarrett Stidham is going to have a great year. He really is. Dude, his receiving core is so much better than it was last year. Just look at it. I mean, quite frankly, I was shocked of how great the receiving core has become. Like, N'Keal Harry, he's going to have a better year than he did last year. That's 100% facts. Julian Edelman, he's not going to be double covered as much. You know, Mohamed Sanu, let's see how he's going to do. Marquise Lee, I'm excited to watch Marquise play. I really am. You still got Jacoby Myers. We'll see how he's going to do. I think he's a solid backup, solid for depth. Now, this is where things start getting interesting. We got Jeff Thomas. By the way, he has a lot of Josh Gordon in him. Only problem is his off-the-field issues. Is he going to be able to stay on the field, not get himself in any trouble, any drama? And Will Hastings is the wide receiver / kicker. He was a kicker in Auburn as well. Wide receiver / kicker coming out of Auburn. All of these guys are great. Honestly, N'Keal Harry's going to have a better year than he did last year. Jarrett Stidham's going to have a great connection with Will Hastings, you know. We'll see how Jacoby Myers is. I'm still in the unknown when it comes to Jacoby Myers. He was an undrafted quarterback who turned to a wide receiver. People compare him to Julian Edelman. I just don't know. I think he's a little too not bulked up enough. I don't know. It's not as fast. He's just okay, you know. It was mainly the main problem is Tom Brady didn't throw to any of the rookie receivers, and it's a shame. He needs to do that, you know. Tom Brady really ticked me off a little bit last year because he needed to give those rookie receivers a chance, give them a chance to let them play, you know. And he just didn't. You know, I was kind of disappointed in the way Tom Brady played last year in New England, and I'm kind of glad that they both went their separate ways. But Jarrett Stidham, like I've said earlier in the episode, he was great in college. He's got a chance to sat behind one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Got a chance to sat behind him, and he's quite honestly, I think he has the potential to be better than Tom Brady ever was. I know that's a big stretch. I already can hear the people in the comments section raging out like crazy. I can already hear it, but everything that Jarrett Stidham did reminded me of Tom Brady and more. Coming out of college, he had a really, really bad college team, and he ended up persevering, ended up doing really, really good in college. I mean, not really good in college, but he ended up doing pretty good in a bad college system, you know, threw 18 touchdowns to 5 interceptions in his last year with a bad offensive line and some of his receivers getting injured. Most importantly, Will Hastings. He didn't have Will Hastings in 2018 in Auburn. He really didn't. Bad coaching staff from the Auburn coaching team from college when Jarrett Stidham was there, and I really see it all written all over the wall. He's gonna do great if he starts, and I don't hate Cam Newton. I think maybe they can add Cam Newton into like a Taysom Hill type of role. I would quite honestly be excited to watch that. Jarrett Stidham doing the great throws and Cam Newton doing like a weird run thingy like Taysom Hill does. Maybe add him to a receiver, even though he'll probably get injured in like 2 weeks. I would much rather see that than just have Cam Newton waste his time on the bench. I mean, I think that would be really interesting, you know. Instead of having just one of those two guys play, why not just have two starting quarterbacks? You know what I mean? Like with the Eagles. What the Eagles have. I'll be talking about the Eagles a little bit later, but yeah, quite honestly, I'm really excited what they got going on in New England. The receiving core looks great. I think N'Keal Harry is going to have a breakout year. Julian Edelman won't be double covered as much, and he will be at 100% healthy. I think it's all looking good. There's a couple question marks around Mohamed Sanu and Jacoby Myers. Mohamed Sanu looked really weird last year. I don't know what happened to him. He was great in the beginning of the year when he was with the Atlanta Falcons, but for some reason he just dipped extremely. He dropped passes. He looked slow. He really looked slow. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Maybe he didn't get the system that they have in place with New England. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up trading him because I think he's just a waste on the roster. I think they should put in better guys like Will Hastings and Jeff Thomas. Give those two guys a really, really good chance. And maybe give Jacoby Myers a couple of reps too. Maybe he can end up being something really great. But right now, I don't see those guys. I don't see Mohamed Sanu even playing. But this is about Jarrett Stidham, and I think he's going to be great. I've explained it earlier in the video. I just hope he starts. Quite honestly, he's a better version of Tom Brady, and I think I'm going to say this. Oh my gosh, I think he can have a better career than Tom Brady ever did. All right, that's Jarrett Stidham coming in at number 11. All right, great. Coming in at number 10 is Kyler Murray. Okay, so I think people are really overrating him on taking his big leap forward. He is going to take a big leap forward. I really compare him to Russell Wilson. I think he's basically a clone of Russell Wilson. Maybe you could say he's a little bit faster, but I really like Kyler Murray. I was a big fan of him last year. He played pretty good. The Cardinals are a really, really young team, and I'm not sure if he's going to take that big step forward like a lot of people think he is. But I'm really impressed. I really like his wide receiving core. Like, all 6 of his wide receivers that he has, like, on the depth chart, like, the top 6 of them are all starting wide receivers. It's great. So once I'm not sure if DeAndre Hopkins is going to be staying with the Cardinals forever. I don't know if it's a one-hit deal. I don't know if he's just going to be there for one season or whatnot. I'm not really sure. But the other guys, like especially Keyshawn Johnson, it reminds me a lot of Antonio Brown in a lot of ways. I think he's going to have a breakout year this year. He's probably going to take over Christian Kirk's role. And Christian Kirk isn't that bad, but I think Keyshawn Johnson is a lot better. And Andy Isabella, he's also a pretty good receiver. I hope they utilize him a lot better than they did last year because they didn't really utilize him in a great way. The head coach is going to be more experienced. He's going to get used to playing the air raid offense in the NFL a lot better because it was our first time. The whole team felt so young, so fresh. You know what I mean? It's such a fresh young team. They're gonna have great years to come. But for right now, I think they're really starting to dip their toes into the field. You know what I mean? It's like they're still growing. You know. But right now they're still really, really, really young. And Kyler Murray is not gonna have an MVP season, but he's gonna have a really, really good season. He has Larry Fitzgerald, who always has great hands, always has a great catch percentage, and DeAndre Hopkins, another great receiver, of course. Christian Kirk is going to be okay, but Andy Isabella and Keyshawn Johnson, they're probably all going to switch out. I like Trent Sherfield, too. He also has potential to one day be a starting wide receiver. They're undrafted wide receivers. I don't know any of these guys' names. I looked up a lot of undrafted receivers. I actually don't really know any of these guys. Yeah, I don't know who these guys are. I looked them up. I couldn't really get enough information to get a real opinion on these guys. Maybe I'll look up their information a little bit more, talk about that with a different topic. But down in the comments below, let me know what you guys think of the undrafted free agents for the Cardinals. One guy is Shane Leatherbury, Devin Phelps, JoJo Ward, Rashad Medeiros. I don't really know these guys that well. If you guys know how great they are, let me know down in the comments below. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a discussion about it because I'm kind of curious. If you guys know who they are really well, then I looked up a couple highlights. They look okay. They look good, but highlights don't tell the whole story. So I'm not really sure how to really put an opinion on it, you know. But maybe I'll make a topic about that for another time if they're really that good or if they're just okay. But the Cardinals team is really, really, really young. I'm impressed with everybody on the Cardinals, and I'm sure Kyler Murray is going to have a pretty good year. The offensive line is probably going to be my number one concern for Kyler Murray. Not sure how great that's going to be, but the coaching is going to get better from last year. Everything is just going to get better from last year, and I'm really excited to watch Kyler Murray play next year. And he has DeAndre Hopkins. That's insane. That's sick. Oh my gosh, Kyler Murray is so lucky, man. So lucky. I'm excited to watch Kyler Murray play, and he's a good leader too, as always. I'm just excited. He's like Russell Wilson to me, and yeah, enough raving about Kyler Murray. All right, moving on to number 9. All right, coming at number 9, we have Matthew Stafford. Listen, Matthew Stafford before his injury probably could have won MVP. He led his team for the first time in his career. I felt like he really was the only reason why the team was doing so great. Seriously, without Matthew Stafford, the team stunk really bad. It seemed like everyone stopped caring once Matthew Stafford got injured, to be quite honest. But Matthew Stafford was really impressive before his injury. He won 3 games, lost 4 times, and tied once. And the one team he tied with was with the Cardinals. But he was really impressive. He beat out my Eagles, which was wow. And the defense looked really, really good. And he had 19 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And, it all looks pretty good. He was pretty solid throughout the beginning of the season. And he only played in, 6 games, I believe. Right? No, he played in 8. Yeah, I think he played in 8 games. And those 8 games, I think he could have been MVP frontrunner. Seriously. Didn't have a bad game at all. He was always throwing a ton of yards. And he still has a really, really great arm. He has a really good pocket awareness, and the pressure doesn't seem to bother him with a bad offensive line. So, he also has great receivers. Some notable names are Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones, both number 1 starting receivers in my opinion. Danny Amendola always has solid hands. He's always been a pretty solid player, and he was pretty good last year, especially when when Matthew Stafford got injured, he connected with a couple of their backup. Victor Bolden Jr. We'll see if he'll have a breakout year. I liked him in the preseason a little bit as well. Marvin Hall, another guy keeping my eye on a little bit. So they got solid stuff going on all around. Matthew Stafford, we'll see how he's going to do. I think honestly he's going to be amazing. I feel like the Lions are going to have a great year going into next year. And I think they've gotten better from last year, in my opinion. They've gotten better. The receiving core looks great. And, yeah, I mean, it's all written on the board for success for Matthew Stafford. Hopefully he can stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, then the team is going to go 10-6. But they have Chase Daniel as their backup. And he's one of the best backups in the NFL. So even if Matthew Stafford goes down, I feel like the Lions will be okay without him. But hopefully he doesn't go down. Maybe he's another one that could win comeback player of the year. There's a lot of players. I believe there's like a ton of players who I think are going to win comeback player of the year. But all in all, Matthew Stafford could be number 9. He's going to have a really, really great season going into this year. All right, coming in at number 8, Kirk Cousins. All right, I got to talk about how great Kirk Cousins was last year. He was really good with the Minnesota Vikings, especially the back half of the year. He played great in the playoffs. The only concern that I have with Kirk Cousins, because everything else is great, offensive line I think is pretty good. Receiving core, coaching is pretty good. The only concern is how is he going to play without Stephon Diggs? You know, that's kind of the unknown for right now. How is he going to play without Stephon Diggs? Because he's not going to have him. He's going to have his replacement, Justin Jefferson, who I think is one of the best receivers coming out of the NFL draft. He has him. And Adam Thielen, who's been a little bit of an injury problem lately. He's caught the injury bug. How is he going to play with? Is he going to stay healthy throughout the whole season? Who knows? Another guy I'm kind of in the unknown about is KJ Osborne. I saw some of his college highlights. He looks like he's going to be pretty good. I'm just not sure if he's going to be third-string wide receiver. But the one guy who I really want to be the third-string wide receiver is Dylan Mitchell. If you guys don't know who Dylan Mitchell was, he was drafted last year. Not last year. He was drafted last year in in the 2019 season. He was drafted 7th. He was drafted in the 7th round, and he got put on the practice squad. It was quite disappointing. He was the number 1 receiver for Justin Herbert at Oregon for the past couple years before he got drafted. And I was a fan of Dylan Mitchell. I was kind of hoping for him to become a third-string receiver. Last year, it didn't end up happening that way, but maybe it could happen this year. I hope so. I hope he'll end up starting somewhere, if not in Minnesota Vikings. If not with the Minnesota Vikings, I hope he starts somewhere. You know what I mean? Because Dylan Mitchell has a lot of potential, and I would love to see him be the third-string receiver for the Vikings. But I'm excited to see Justin Jefferson play next year. I think he's going to be great. I think he can outperform Adam Thielen one day because he's getting up there in age. KJ Osborne, who knows how he's going to be, and I hope Dylan Mitchell will end up being the third-string receiver for the Vikings. But that would basically be Kirk Cousins' receiving core, and how is he going to play with them? We're kind of in the unknown right now. You know what I mean? Especially without OTAs and stuff, and that's like the biggest concern that I have with all these quarterbacks is how are they going to play without OTAs and off-season workouts and stuff? You know what I mean? Because you're not going to have that time, you know? And that's like a big concern right now for me personally, how I think some of these players will be playing. But Kirk Cousins, who knows, you know? Who knows how he's going to play? I think he's going to be, who knows how he's going to be with the new receivers, you know? Because he doesn't have Stephon Diggs anymore. But I think he'll overcome that challenge. Because if you looked at last year, especially in the playoffs, he didn't throw to Stephon Diggs that much. And I forgot why they traded him. I think it was like an attitude problem or something like that, where I think he wanted more money. I don't remember. Damn. Oh well. But they got Justin Jefferson. Now we'll see how great their connection will be. Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. Maybe KJ Osborne will play, and I hope Dylan Mitchell will become third-string receiver. And I think Kirk Cousins will. I think he's gonna be pretty solid next year. I think he's gonna have a really, really good season. His arm is still great. Everything is great about Kirk Cousins, and he really turned into his own. You know, I think he's gonna even have a better year than he did last year, even though he's not gonna have Stephon Diggs there. Like, I think he's going to have a good year, you know? I think he's getting more comfortable with the offense. Because the problem was with Kirk Cousins, he's always, in big moments, he always tensed up, you know? And if he just got, it was like a big mental block with Kirk Cousins, And I think Kirk Cousins overcame that mental block last year. He played great in the playoffs. Everything wasn't his fault. The reason why they lost wasn't his fault. No one blamed him for anything. Everything was he was playing pretty good. Everything was good with Kirk Cousins. So yeah, I think it's going to be playing pretty good. The only unknown is how is he going to play without Stephon Diggs. But I'm excited. I am. I think he's going to play really good. He's in the top 10 for a reason. And yeah. So even though the Vikings are going to have a little bit of a down year, I don't think it's going to be Kirk Cousins' fault. I think the defense are going to be pretty weak. Moving on to number 7, we have Ryan Tannehill. Now, Ryan Tannehill was really impressive. He was. He won comeback player of the year last year, and he brought his team. He won 7 games out of 3. Won 7 when Marcus Mariota lost like almost every game in the beginning of the season. Ryan Tannehill stepped in and he was like, "Yo, let's win some games, And he ended up throwing for 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Ended up having a great receiving core. He had great talent last year. I know Derrick Henry mainly ran throughout the season. That's why they won a ton of games. But there was a lot of great things that came out of Ryan Tannehill. His mobility was good. His arm was actually pretty impressive. He threw a lot of great deep balls, and I was impressed with the amount of clutch that he had in critical situation games. He stepped up. He stepped up to the plate and he delivered. He really did. I was surprised. I thought they were just gonna have him like for a couple of games and replace him back with Marcus Mariota, because I always felt like Marcus Mariota and Ryan Tannehill are kind of like the same quarterback. They both play the same to me, in my personal opinion. But I realized Ryan Tannehill is really good, especially with last year. He fit that system perfectly. Marcus Mariota, I'm not even sure. I kind of given up on him a little bit. He's either there or he isn't, and when he is there, he is okay, because he has injury problems. He is fast, so maybe he can be a Taysom Hill quarterback for somebody. Ryan Tannehill, he really led his team. He went 7-3 with the Titans, and he led them to the playoffs. There's a reason why he went 7-3 and Marcus Mariota went 2-4 as a starting quarterback. You know what I mean? So Ryan Tannehill obviously had some sort of impact. So I'm tired of people saying they don't like Ryan Tannehill when he proved himself last season. He proved himself for a contract extension. Now, I think they should personally franchise tag Ryan Tannehill and not Derrick Henry, because I think Ryan Tannehill should still prove himself again, because it could have been a one-hit wonder like with Case Keenum. I think a lot of the plays he made last year didn't show one-hit wonder. You know what I mean? It showed that he could actually be a starting quarterback for a team. I hope he does good going into next year. He had a great percentage too. He had a great completion percentage, 70% completion percentage, which was insane. I know he had great receivers. He had AJ Brown. He had great guys. Adam Humphries is coming back too. He was injured for some of the season. Jonnu Smith, he was a great tight end for Ryan Tannehill. I think he's a good starting tight end for that franchise. And Corey Davis, another great guy, was for Ryan Tannehill. And so all in all, Ryan Tannehill is going to have a good season. I think he's going to have even a better season than he did last year. He's going to play more games, which is great. Hopefully he can stay healthy. His mobility is also really good too. I like his mobility that he has on him. And maybe he can rush for a couple touchdowns as well. But yeah, I mean, all in all, Ryan Tannehill is probably going to have a better season than he did last year due to the fact that he's going to start all 60 games. You know what I mean? And receiving core, A.J. Brown's going to take the step up. Maybe Corey Davis will break out into something even better than he was last year, because I think Corey Davis is still pretty good. I don't know why people are hating on him. He was better than all the receivers than we had last year. I'd much rather take Corey Davis than Alshon Jeffrey and Nelson Aguilar any day of the week. I'm comparing my team to the Eagles. I'm comparing my team to the Titans. Sorry about that. But Corey Davis is still pretty good. Adam Humphries, you got A.J. Brown. They're all going to take a step forward. And Ryan Tannehill is going to have a pretty good year going into next year. Alrighty, coming in number 6, my man Carson Wentz. Oh man, wow, he's in the top 10. He's number 6. I'm impressed. Last year, He was extremely impressive. He was clutch. He was clutch the first time in his career. Well, not the first time. I think he was still pretty good in 2017. But Carson Wentz was really clutch last year in critical situation moments. Those last 7, was it 7? Those last 6 games of the season, he was like playing in the playoffs. And unfortunately, he got injured on a dirty hit. He got injured on one of the most dirty hits. Man, can't believe Jadeveon Clowney got away with that. I think he should have been like kicked out for the rest of the game. But man, just remember about that. Yeah, it's a shame he got a concussion. Hopefully that concussion doesn't harm his career. Concussions are extremely dangerous to NFL players. They really are. Like I mean, apparently there was reports coming out that he didn't even know his own wife's name. He didn't know his own name after getting hit that bad. I'm just saying that's what coming from reports. So hopefully he's doing okay. But I like what the Eagles are doing, even though people are afraid that he's going to get replaced by. Man, so many names confuse me. You know, crap. Jalen Hurts. My gosh, I'm not cutting that out. Yeah, I know people are worried about him because Jalen Hurts got drafted in the second round, but don't be worried. They're just going to have 2 starting quarterbacks, and it's not a big deal. I'm actually really excited to watch the Eagles season going into next year. I don't think they're going to be making to a Super Bowl or anything, but yeah, I'm excited to see what Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts are going to look like both at the starting helm, because I honestly feel like that's what they're going to do. Yeah, and with the crazy part about Carson Wentz, the reason why I have him at number 6. I would have had number 10 if I didn't look at this stat. And once again, I'm not a big stat person, but this stat is really important. He threw for 4,000 yards. He's the first quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards to like a ton of different receivers who didn't make it to the 500 mark. You know what I mean? Like he threw to let's see, practice squad players and starting players who got injured. All 4 of his receivers ended up not being on the final roster, ended up not being in the playoff game. Deshaun Jackson wasn't there. Alshon Jeffrey wasn't there. Nelson Aguilar wasn't there. But all 3 of those guys got injured, and Matt Collins was just a waste of space. He was a waste of space on that roster, and I don't even know why he was there. Why was Greg Ward Jr. there, and why was Greg Ward Jr. on the practice squad wasting his talents instead of Matt Collins being there? Matt Collins was just a waste for Carson Wentz to have. He didn't trust any of his receivers. He didn't trust Nelson Aguilar, and he didn't trust Matt Collins, especially Nelson Aguilar. Man, I feel like Carson Wentz would have had a better year if Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey stayed healthy. But this year, his receiving core upgraded a lot. Say what you will. And he's been really conservative. Carson Wentz, back-to-back years, 2017 threw for 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. 2018, it was a bad year for Carson Wentz, but he threw for 21 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. This year, he threw for 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Carson Wentz loves the number 7 for some reason. Maybe he should change his quarterback number to 7, you know? He loves throwing for only 7 interceptions, and he's really conservative. But I think the only issue that we need to be worried about is Carson Wentz's fumbling problem. But other than that, Carson Wentz, I'm really excited to watch him play. The offensive line might be a little bit of an issue, though. If you remember, Brandon Brooks, we're not going to have him next year. No Jason Peters. We're going to have like an unexperienced left tackle. We'll see how he's going to play. We'll see how he's going to play with Andre Dillard. Yeah, there's just a lot of unknowns going on with with Carson Wentz. How is he going to play with Matt Pryor? Is Matt Pryor going to be the answer for right guard to replace Brandon Brooks? I mean, I'm not really sure on that. You know, and his receiving core has definitely improved. So let's look at Carson Wentz's receiving core, shall we? All right, we got Deshaun Jackson, the best deep threat in the NFL, one of the best. You got Jalen Reagor, who's probably going to be in the slot. He's really fast. I would have preferred Justin Jefferson, but hey, we can't do anything about it. We live and we learn, and hopefully they don't regret picking Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. I believe John Hightower he was a really good pick. I was a big fan of that pick, and hopefully it was a good option. You know what I mean? I'm excited to see how he's going to play. J.J. Arcega-Whiteshead, another guy. How is he gonna how's he going to do? Is he going to turn into more of his is he going to turn into more of an Alshon Jeffrey type of receiver? Who knows? Honestly, what I think was hold on a second. Yeah, so how's he going to do? Marquise Goodwin, he's not really good at catching the ball. He kind of reminds me of a fast version of Nelson Aguilar, to be honest with you. Deontay Burnett, another really great guy. Greg Ward Jr., man, he better be starting. He better be on that final roster. Carson Wentz and him had a great combination. They just did. They had something click in there, and he should be starting day one. Greg Ward Jr. He should be the slot receiver. Like trade off with Marquise Goodwin and Jalen Reagor. All three of those guys should be switching off. Like, be quite honest, they got like a ton of starting receiving talent on their roster. I better be seeing Greg Ward Jr. Another really underrated guy, in my opinion, Shelton Gibson. I've been a fan of him since he got drafted. I really feel like he's Deshaun Jackson. I hope he doesn't get cut. I mean, I don't think they have a great combination going on between Carson Wentz and Shelton Gibson, but I'm still counting him. He's still really fast. He's probably the fastest wide receiver. Yeah, I would say he's the fastest wide receiver on the Eagles roster, maybe even faster than Jalen Reagor. But we'll see how Carson Wentz is going to play with not the first time in his career, not an elite offensive line, because this is really an unknown territory right now. We'll see how Matt Pryor will play. We'll see how Andre Dillard will play. Left guard, Isaac Seumalo. Jason Kelsey, the best center in the league. Right tackle, you got Lane Johnson. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how everybody's going to play going into next year. We're in really unknown territory with the Eagles right now. There's a big question mark. Jalen Reagor is, I honestly think he's the replacement to Deshaun Jackson one day. But right now I'm quite interested to see how they're going to play, you know. But what I think they should do is I talked about this in the previous video, but I think they should have all the fast guys, Jalen Reagor, Marquise Goodwin, and Deshaun Jackson on one play, and get a bunch of guys who could just catch the ball really good on another play, like Alshon Jeffrey, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and Greg Ward Jr. I think that's what they should do with the receivers, because they got a ton of talent. Maybe get John Hightower in there for a couple of plays. Build a great connection with Carson Wentz and John Hightower, because I know in the offseason right now, Carson Wentz has been working with Greg Ward Jr., John Hightower, and Quez Watkins, I believe his name is. But he's been working with some of the guys in the offseason. He also has Zach Ertz, of course, his go-to guy. Dallas Goedert, another really good tight end for him. And we'll see who the third-string tight end will be. Maybe it'll be Josh Perkins, or it'll be Richard Rodgers, or Alex Ellis, I believe his name was. But he's more of a blocking tight end. But we'll see. We'll see how Carson Wentz is going to do next year. I'm really excited to see him play. He was amazing last year. He was amazing with what he had, who he threw to. He threw for 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions with backups. You know what I mean? I know I've been ranting about the Eagles mainly here, but it all has to do with Carson Wentz and how he's going to play with these new guys, with these receivers. You know what I mean? There's a lot of potential going on here with Carson Wentz. So we'll see. We'll see how he's going to play, and quite frankly, I'm excited to see him play next year. So, yeah. All right, moving on. All right, guys, we have cracked the top 5. All 5 of these guys, I would say, are going to have an elite season next year. We have officially got to that point. All right, starting with our number 5, the 5th best quarterback coming into next year, Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, I'm going to flat out say it. I've always been a fan of Jimmy Garoppolo. It's sad that he didn't get a chance to start with the Patriots, but now he's with the 49ers, and he seems like he's going to have a great career. Last year was Jimmy Garoppolo's first time starting for a full NFL season, and he was quite impressive, to be honest with you. He threw for 27 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. I would say last year Jimmy Garoppolo was the clutchest quarterback out of the whole NFL. He was so clutch in critical situation moments, and I was really impressed. Unfortunately, in the playoffs, that's a whole different story. But we're talking about regular season, how he's going to play in the regular season, and I think he's quite honestly going to be doing pretty good. He lost Deebo Samuel. That's My only concern is Deebo Samuel. Offensive line got better. They added Trent Williams in the offseason, who's a step up from Joe Staley. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have a great year. He has one of the strongest arms in the NFL. He was really clutch. He's so calm in critical situations, except in the Super Bowl. But he was so calm. He's so relaxed. He's good with pressure in his face, and he just slings it out there. You know what I mean? I'm really impressed with Jimmy Garoppolo. I was impressed with him since his start in 2016, I believe, when Tom Brady got suspended for a couple of games. I've been impressed with Jimmy Garoppolo for such a long time now, and I'm glad that he started all 16 games last year, didn't get injured at all, and we'll see how he's going to play. The only concern is his receiving core. How is he going to play with that receiving core without Deebo Samuel? Because Deebo Samuel unfortunately got injured. Kendrick Bourne is still going to be there, but we'll see how Jalen Hurts is going to be with him. Dante Pettis, are they going to have a great connection? We'll see. Travis Benjamin is now on the roster as well. Brandon Ayuk, sorry if I said your name wrong. They just drafted him. We'll see. He doesn't have Emmanuel Sanders, who really helped the offense a lot last year, but yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how Jimmy Garoppolo is going to handle with the adversity of not having Deebo Samuel. No, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have a great year. I think he's going to improve on what he did last year, and I think he has a chance to make it to the Super Bowl next year. All right, I think I should say this once for all, because I had a couple questions in the comment section. I think the Super Bowl teams next year are going to be the Broncos and the 49ers, and I believe the Broncos will win the Super Bowl going into next year. Yeah. Oh, all right. So I'm coming in at number 4, Sean Watson. Now, this one's kind of interesting to me, because I would have had him higher if DeAndre Hopkins was still on the roster, but Brandon Brooks is still a really, really good receiver. He's really, in my opinion, I think he's elite. He has had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, except last year. I don't know what happened to him last year. It wasn't really his fault, in my opinion. Yeah, so it was kind of a down year for Brandon Brooks, first time in his whole NFL career. And we'll see how he's going to play. I mean, he still has Kenny Stills there, Willie Snead. Hopefully they'll both stay healthy. They're both solid receivers. I think they both have the potential to be number one guys. Kenny Stills playing in the slot. They also got Randall Cobb there for some reason. To be quite honest with you, I don't know why why they picked him up. I guess to make up for the lack of DeAndre Hopkins, who's like top 5 in the NFL receiver. Still never gonna know why. That's gonna be like the biggest unknown to me until the day and the NFL to the day the NFL ends. You know, guys in the comment section below, let me know why you think he did that, because I can't come up with a reason why someone would do such an idiotic thing and get rid of DeAndre Hopkins. But Deshaun Watson's, that's why I have him at number 4. I think he's still going to be great. He's going to still have a great year. He's going to be as clutch as usual. Unfortunately, the offensive line is never great when it comes to the Houston Texans. Receiving core is still going to be really good. He still has his legs, so he always utilizes his legs. And Deshaun Watson's going to have a good year. I think he's going to basically have the same year as last year, but a little worse due to not having DeAndre Hopkins. Hopefully his interceptions are going to be a lot lower this year compared to last year, because it was kind of high. 12 interceptions, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Yeah, it was a little high. But I think he'll be all right. I think he'll be utilizing his legs a lot more. He's still pretty fast. He's still a great player. And I'm excited to watch Deshaun Watson next year. He's coming at number 4. He's still kind of having an amazing season as usual. He's going to be a top-tier quarterback for a long time. I think it's for the next couple years in the NFL. It's going to be a big competition between Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. They're going to be the two guys. All right. And back in the day, it was Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. The new era in the NFL, it's going to be Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. So that's all I gotta say about Deshaun Watson. He's gonna have a good year. Even though he doesn't have D-Hop. Oh my goodness. Okay, coming in at number three, we have Russell Wilson. Now, this might become number one if he picks up Antonio Brown, or not number one, maybe number two. I don't know. If he ends up acquiring Antonio Brown, this is probably gonna be a different story, because right now the biggest rumors for where AB's gonna go is the Seahawks or Tampa Bay. If AB ends up going to the Seahawks, it's probably gonna be a different conversation. But either way, he's gonna have a great year, as he always does. He always has MVP caliber seasons. It's unfortunate. I think he should have won the MVP last year. I know that's a little bit controversial statement. I mean, Lamar Jackson was good, but I really liked the way Russell Wilson was throwing the ball last year. I was really impressed. And it's a shame that he didn't have Josh Gordon for more plays. It's a shame he didn't have Josh Gordon for more games. But he still has Tyler Lockett. He still has DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is probably going to take a step up. He has Greg Olsen now. Seahawks got quite a few weapons in their arsenal. So, yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson, I hope he has another great year, as he always does. He's always stayed healthy. Russell Wilson is what you want in a quarterback. In a way, he revolutionized the quarterback position. Like, he was accurate. He's everything you want in a quarterback. Strong arm, great leader. I mean, as much as I love Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson he's just clean. You know what I mean? He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's gonna have another great season, as he always does. He always puts up MVP caliber seasons. He always has MVP caliber seasons. But he never ends up winning MVP because you got guys like Patrick Mahomes or possibly Drew Lock and Lamar Jackson. You got players like that. Honestly, I think he should have won the MVP last year, and that's just me, I guess. I think he should have won the MVP last year, possibly in 2016 too. There's been a couple of years where he should have won MVP, in my opinion. But Russell Wilson's gonna have a good year, as he always does. Russell Wilson coming at number 3. Coming at number 2, Drew Lock. Yes, I do believe Drew Lock will win MVP. I 100% do. But you guys all know who number 1 is going to be. As long as this guy is in the NFL, he's always going to be my number 1. He's probably going to have a great season, but Drew Lock's going to have a really good season. Let's talk about him. So Drew Lock acquired Jerry Jeudy, who out of the draft, and Courtland Sutton's probably going to have a step up. Courtland Sutton is turning into something into his own. He's going to one day probably be the best receiver in the NFL. I was that impressed with Courtland Sutton last season. I really was. The way he caught the ball in critical situations, he was so clutch. I'm so impressed with Courtland Sutton. He's like the number 1 guy. And Jerry Jeudy is another version of Julio Jones. Courtland Sutton is turning into his own. Like, people are going to start comparing him to other NFL receivers. And Jerry Jeudy is another Julio Jones. Hopefully those two guys can stay healthy, because they're going to be the best wide receiver duo in the NFL for years to come, for like the next few years, you know what I mean? Like, they're both number 1 guys. They really are. And going into next year, their receiving core, I'm not really sure who's going to be their third guy, you know what I mean? I hope it's going to be KJ Hamler, the fastest receiver coming out of last year. He's probably going to go into the slot. It's either going to be him or Tim Patrick, because those were the two guys Patrick was pretty good last year. He was just solid. He's just okay. You know what I mean? He's nothing amazing or anything. But KJ Hamler, I hear a lot of people comparing him to Tyreek Hill, and I don't know if I'll go that far, but I'm not really sure how he's going to be. He might be something, maybe a surprise, but I hope they don't put Deshaun Hamilton in, because Deshaun Hamilton dropped way too many passes. He's really raw. But I think day 1 starter, third-string receiver will be Tim Patrick. Possibly, eventually, they'll replace him with KJ Hamler, the fastest receiver coming out of the NFL draft. So they're loaded, and they got really, really solid tight ends. All 3 of those tight ends on their roster are all really, really solid. So they got 3 solid, really good tight ends. We'll see how Noah Fant will be. I'm worried that he had a little bit of a drop problem last season. I understand it was his rookie year, but hopefully he'll become more into a number one tight end. You know what I mean? Drew Lock, he's going to have an MVP caliber season. There's no way he shouldn't unless he gets injured, but hope to God he doesn't. And I'm excited to watch Drew Lock going into next year. He has all the tools he needs. He's going to have that breakout year, but there's one reason why he's not number one. Because he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Coming at number one, Patrick Mahomes. I don't know how else to say this, but Patrick Mahomes will be the number one on my list till the day he retires. Well, till the day he turns 35. Because that's when it seems like every NFL quarterback seems to decline at some point. But Patrick Mahomes, he still has the Legion of Zoom. He still has Tyreek Hill. He's going to have Tyreek Hill for a whole entire season, thinking about that. Because last season, he didn't have Tyreek Hill for a whole season. He's going to have Sammy Watkins. He's going to have Mecole Hardman. Mecole Hardman is a number one receiver. And he reminds me a lot of Deshaun Jackson. He really does. If you think about it, all three of those guys are number one receivers. They really are. Tyreek Hill is the number one. Sammy Watkins is number one. Mecole Hardman is number one. Mecole Hardman is Deshaun Jackson, basically. But then they got two other solid guys who are also part of the Legion of Zoom, Marcus Robinson and Byron Pringle, who are both solid number two options. You know what I mean? All five of those guys are going to be insane. They're going to be insane going into next year. They're going to be scary receiving group. You know what I mean? Legion of Zoom is going to be... It's gonna make the NFL defenses wish they never went up against the Chiefs. That's for sure. But Patrick Mahomes is gonna have another great year. He's coming off a Super Bowl win. He's coming off a Super Bowl win and Super Bowl MVP, and he's gonna get his contract extended at some point. I hope he gets contract extended soon. It's probably gonna be an insane amount of money. Not insane. Maybe if knowing Patrick Mahomes, maybe he'll do $40 million because he's worth $40 million. I hope he doesn't do $50 million per year because that would be a little insane to say the least. But Patrick Mahomes is only 24 years old and he's already won all the accomplishments that Russell Wilson hasn't even won yet. You know what I mean? I mean Russell Wilson did win the Super Bowl, but I mean a guy like Matt Ryan. It took Matt Ryan quite a while to make it to the Super Bowl and win MVP. You know what I mean? Like, he's done all this stuff, and he's only 24 years old. That's insane. He's insane, and he's probably gonna win more MVPs, and he's probably gonna outthrone Tom Brady as winning the most Super Bowls. I'm not jinxing him. I hope I'm not jinxing him or anything, but Patrick Mahomes is insane. I mean. What else is there to say about him? And last year, he was so conservative with the football. He threw nice 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Nothing crazy, but he did enough to win. He did enough to win the big game when it counted. You know what I mean? And he's going to have Tyreek Hill for the whole season. You know what I mean? So, and also, people are saying that he needs like a guy like Tyreek Hill. People think Patrick Mahomes is overrated because he has such a great receiving core, and he does. He has the best receiving core in the NFL. But at a point last year, he didn't have Tyreek Hill and he didn't have Sammy Watkins for one whole game, and he played great. He did. He played great with the backup receivers, you know. And he also has Travis Kelce too, so that's always a plus. But Patrick Mahomes is going to be an amazing quarterback for years to come. There's a reason why he threw for 50 touchdowns. He didn't throw for 50 touchdowns for no reason. There's a reason. You know what I mean? Because he's really good. He's really good. He's clutch. And he invented one of the best plays in NFL history, the no-look pass. You know? I call it the Patrick Mahomes, but you know what I mean. All right. Patrick Mahomes is going to have a great, great NFL season. And, I don't think he's going to win MVP. I think that's going to go to Drew Lock, but Patrick Mahomes will be number one on my list till the day he retires or the day he'll start declining. All right, that's all I got for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. My gosh, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I had to take a break at one point to eat my dinner because this episode is going to take me forever. Like this top 32 team was basically a whole episode of his own, ranking all 32 quarterbacks. I had a ton of notes here. This episode took me so long to make, and I'm so excited that I made it. I'm so proud of this episode. This is the best episode I've ever made of this show. Hopefully all my footage ends up staying intact, because usually when I make long episodes, for some odd reason, it starts getting rid of my footage and only keeping the audio. I apologize if it does that this episode, because it most likely will, because it's such a long episode. So eventually I'll get better gear. For right now, this is what I got, and yeah, I'm excited to have made this episode. I got a ton of stuff here. I got a ton of notes. Got notes on my computer too. All right, that's all we got. I'm done rambling. Hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you thought down in the comments below. I want to have a discussion about some of the things we talked about in this episode, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one.